Hello and welcome to the Metalheads podcast. My name is George.
This is Buke.
This is Jay.
That was a pretty epic fucking hello. This is Buke, wasn't it?
That
was
good.
Dramatic pause on my end.
Fucking good. Yeah, pause on your end. And George, you look a little tired. Why are you so tired?
I'm pretty beat. I mean, not like exhausted, but just sleepy because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Yesterday was a very long day for me. I got up in the morning and, threw on some clothes, went to the gym, went from the gym to Buke's house, and from there we went down to Baltimore to Soundgarden to do some vinyl shopping.
Listen to him. He's even talking slow. He's just kind of got this whole, you sound like a DJ on an R&B station.
And so then after we...
And if any of our listeners go up to Baltimore to Soundgarden, be sure to stop in the Cowboy Bar.
And the horse they rode in on.
Yeah.
It's a couple doors down.
The hottest bartender I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But just stop in there. It's worth the trip.
So anyway,
So yada, yada, George and the bartender. George is tired the next day.
Actually, we went to Soundgarden, then we went and got some food, and somewhere in there, our friend Will got a hold of me and was like, "Hey, Buke's not going to the Slayer show with me tonight. You want to go?" And so I was like, "Well, let me check." And I got home at about 4:00 in the afternoon. I asked my wife, I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And she's like, "Yeah, go for it." So then by 5:00, I was out the door again, headed down to Silver Spring to go to the Fillmore to meet Will.
I thought the quote was, she was like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here."
yeah, get out of here. Don't come back. But, I did. And so I drove down there to meet him, and I got there first. We were supposed to meet at 6:30. I got there about 10 after because, I'm always early. And so I parked in the garage, and I was like, I might as well go hop in the line. But, of course, I don't have any tickets, so I'm just a placeholder. And it's about a block and 3/4 from the door. There's quite a few people there already. So I get in line, I put my hood up and zip up my hoodie, and I'm like freezing and waiting. And for the first time in the history of concerts, the fucking doors opened on time.
Sweet. Or not.
Or not, as the case was. Because at like 6:25, Will is like, "Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes away." I'm like, "All right, well, that ought to work because, it's a 6:30 door and nobody ever opens on time. It should be just fine." Well, the line starts moving and he's not there yet. So I go with the line and I get up to the corner where you're about to go in. No Will, so I step out of line and I move all the way to the back of the line.
And people don't know you like I know you. You are...
Anal?
I don't want to use the word nervous Nelly. But when things don't go like right on script, George quietly, you can see he's starting to get a little uncomfortable. So I can imagine your eyes were probably like that cat clock at this time.
Actually, I wasn't really I was just like, whatever, if he's not here, I'll just get out of line and go to the back. But then the funny thing is, the line is even longer now, and it's actually a full 2 blocks long. And so I walk back to the very end of the line, and I'm even further back than I was before. And I'm like, all right. And I just sent him a text. I'm like, "Hey, got out of line. I'm in the back of the line now if you're looking for me." And so, but now the line is moving. So it's actually getting along quite quickly. And so I got almost up to the corner again before. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm going to have to go to the end of the line again. And then Will calls and he's like, "Hey, I'm here." And he was just like 20 feet away. So we managed to get into the show, and as we were passing by the Will Call, we saw DC Metal Chris out front and his girlfriend. So we said hi to them, and we went in the show, and it was, by this point, pretty damn packed. We walked around. As usual, Will knows everybody there, so we had to stop and say hello to a bunch of people. The cool thing about this was that, Mark, the guy that does the Spotify playlist guy, was coming to the show, and so we met up with him. And
did you just give him a big hug and say thank you, thank you?
I should have.
Yes,
but it was more. You know me. I'm a little more formal. I'm like, "How do you do? Shake your hand." But it was really cool meeting him, and I mentioned after the show, the three of us did a postmortem on the show, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. I'm going to repeat some of the stories here just because I can. Well, first of all, Carcass was awesome. They were the opening band.
Like how everything was in white.
Yes. The backdrop was basically the cover for Surgical Steel.
And that's the whole reason I'm going to see this tour too, by the way, because I've never seen them, and I know you hadn't seen them until last night.
Yeah, and they sounded great. I was really impressed.
Your video snippets, by the way, tell the tale of a pretty mixed sound out in the show. You can tell what's going on.
Yeah.
In all of the snippets.
Yeah. So Carcass was great. I feel like, and Will said the same thing. We feel like they played a slightly longer set than Testament did. But
Which is fine with me, by the way.
yeah, I've seen Testament enough times. Give me more Carcass. And we were also talking about how, Carcass could easily be a headlining band all by themselves, and perhaps sometimes they are, but I guess if you're going to play with Testament and Slayer, you got to take the third rung because, you may be big and awesome, but they're even more bigger and more awesome. So while Carcass was playing, I was kind of like looking at Jeff Walker, and I'm like, okay, he's British. He's playing bass. And he's getting a little older. He's kind of starting to look like Lemmy. And so then I came up with a conspiracy theory, and you heard it here first. I believe that Jeff Walker is a lost Lemmy love child. So spread this rumor around. Let's see what we can do with that. If he starts, all he's got to do is like put his mic up higher,
and we're there,
and sing. But and I'm like, put a mole on his face, yeah, it would be he could be Lemmy. I mean, granted, I wasn't up close and personal on him. He probably looks nothing like Lemmy, but from the distance that I was viewing him, I was like, he's kind of squint a little, looks like Lemmy.
George, can I ask, how were they on stage? Because, like, the Hellfest and the Vakin performances I've seen on them, they play, their brutal grind, but they seem like they're just proper. They're just like, just standing there, just...
I don't know. I mean, the drummer, Will also mentioned that the drummer seemed kind of boring. He was just sort of like, just kind of doop-doop playing the drums.
Yeah.
Did they start out with the first tracks from Surgical Steel?
I don't remember which one it was.
Okay,
it was something from Surgical Steel. I think it was Unfit for Human Consumption, maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember. But Bill Steer was moving around quite a bit, and Jeff Walker somewhat. I liked because there must have been a fan down there, and so when he's like up on the microphone and like his long hair is like blowing up behind him.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Remember when we saw Obscura, the singer for Obscura used to have really long hair, and when we saw him at Jack's, his hair was kind of flowing out behind him, which in a way is kind of like fashion model lame.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's kind of cool because it's just like long hair flowing out, I don't know.
It's completely cool. Fucking metal at the same time.
Exactly.
I mean, standing at the top of the mountain with the wind in your hair.
Yep. So then Testament came on, and it was right between the sets is when we met up with Mark and, chatted with him for a bit. And Testament came on. They played, it's Testament. You know what you're getting. It was a great set.
Did they play DOA?
I don't think... What did they...
Song.
You mean DNR?
Yes, I'm sorry, DNR.
Yeah, I think they opened with DNR.
Yes. Yes.
They didn't play New Order. I had looked up on Setlist their last couple shows, and like the day before, they had actually done like a side headlining gig because they played a lot more songs. I think they only did like maybe 7 or 8 songs on this, and they did like Practice What You Preach, Into the Pit.
I've never heard those songs before. Maybe they're
Formation of Damnation, stuff like that. And I love Chuck Billy. Chuck Billy's just a badass.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, and so I loved it. It was great. But then there was Slayer, and I've seen them a couple times before. Never without Jeff Hanneman. But, I thought about it as they were coming on. I'm like, wow, let's check out this Holt fella. And, obviously I've been a Gary Holt fan for decades already, but not in the context of Slayer.
And he's the Livewire dude, by the way,
Yeah, he was pretty awesome. And
there's some fucking motion up there.
Yeah, within a couple of songs, it was out of my mind. It was Slayer. They really brought it.
Yeah.
And they played for like an hour and 45 minutes. They played 1 million fucking songs and so much good stuff. I mean, the surprise for me of the evening was that they played Chemical Warfare. And I don't think I've ever heard that played before live. And, they did all the good stuff. I mean, they did Postmortem, they did Dead Skin Mask.
War Ensemble.
They did War Ensemble. War Ensemble and Postmortem were the two songs that the crowd just fucking lost their mind.
Mandatory Suicide.
They did Mandatory Suicide, Born of Fire. They closed with Angel of Death. They also did Raining Blood. What else?
All the hits.
Yeah.
All the hits,
I think, a couple songs they play, Take Control.
Bloodletting, or what's the blood one? Did they do the vampire thing? What's that fucking song called? I think it's called Bloodletting. Did they do that? They said that seems to be a big. Oh, it wasn't in there.
No. But it was a great set. It was very energetic.
Does Tom still have his beard?
Yes. I was, and again, this is probably going to be repeated in the stuff that we recorded afterwards. But Tom's beard last holiday season, we were like, hey, it's like Santa Tom. And now that it's not the holidays, he just looks like Father Metal. He's like the god, the patron saint of metal.
Father Metal.
He's just such a badass. And between songs, sometimes there'd be a pause, and he'd just sit there at the microphone and just look at you. And he'd just look over here and look over there. He didn't say anything. He just and people are just like, wow, it's Tom.
He's, he is. I think of Tom Araya as a bit of an iconic figure. I mean, I really do.
Sure.
And I mean, even more than like Kerry King and stuff, Tom's just this he's just a cool looking motherfucker, and always has been.
Yep.
And he's big, and he's kind of like, he should get like the NHL Hockey Iron Man Award. I mean, Tom is always just there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, other than when he had this back surgery a while back, Tom still sounds like Tom. Still plays like Tom. He can't really headbang anymore, but whatever. It's just something about that guy.
Yeah. So it was a killer set. At the Fillmore in the past, we saw Anthrax there, and when they'd go into the war dance and things like that, the whole floor would just lose their mind, like moshing. And so I expected nothing less than that for Slayer, because Slayer's pits are legendary.
Yeah.
At least they were until last night. There were, like I said, there were a couple songs, Postmortem, War Ensemble, and of course the closer, Angel of Death, that people got pretty wild with. But never did I feel like the whole floor was one big pit.
That's weird, dude.
It kind of was. I mean, Will was saying in afterwards, it's because they're all old people.
I suppose.
But there was a healthy amount of older folk there. But there were a lot of younger people too, and so I'm not really sure what that was all about. But it was really awesome. Somewhere during the set, people are crowd surfing and stuff, and then the dude in the wheelchair was crowd surfing.
There you go.
They picked him up and passed him to the front. I was like, that's badass. So anyway, we'll talk all about that in the Slayer Postmortem. Why don't we get into that now?
Hello and welcome to the Metalheads podcast. My name is George, and I'm here with
Will. This is Buke.
It is not Buke.
This is Mark. Spotify playlist, Mark.
That's right. I guess Will's met you before.
Yeah, I drink at his brewery.
That's right. But I have not, so it is a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, likewise.
Myself and this is John. Met Mark a couple weeks ago during the Curious Cure day at the Fairwinds Brewing Company. So we met him once.
Right on. So I got to ask you, how did you first hear about us?
I followed Brew Metal Will because I was a big fan of Port City Brewing Company. So I said, hey, there's a guy brewing beer and playing metal. So I followed him on Twitter, and then he tweeted, hey, I'm on the year-end episode of the Metalheads podcast 2014. I said I should probably listen to that, and then here we are.
Right on. So as usual, Will is the one bringing us all the traffic, and the three of us are doing dick all to bring in people to listen. Well, thank you, Will.
You're not doing dick all, you're doing cougar bush all.
That's right. We're here with the cougar bush. Cougar bush can't introduce itself, but it says hello. So we just got out of the Slayer Testament Carcass show. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It was fucking awesome. It was a little late for Carcass. Saw him only play one song, but I think Testament and Slayer were definitely on point. They were awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was my first time seeing Carcass. I've been a big Carcass fan since Heartwork back in the 90s or whenever that came out. Yep. I wish they would have played longer. I was a little disappointed Testament played a very short set, I felt like. But they played some great songs. There's a few songs I wish they would have played, like New Order or Trial by Fire, from the New Order album. And Slayer played a very long set, which was great. My only issue overall the entire night is the sound was a little muted. It was like a lot of kick drum. You couldn't hear a lot of the highs of the guitars and stuff like that. But after a while, because myself and the franchise were here in the pit for the most of the time, actually the entire time during Slayer. So at that point, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm fucking deaf. I can't hear the highs and the lows anyway. I just hear the middle like a fucking telephone. But yeah, I noticed that Testament actually played a show yesterday, I believe it was, and it must have been like one of those like off to the side shows where they headlined, because they played a lot more songs. They played New Order and some other songs, and yeah, but today's set list was definitely shorter. I feel like Carcass played more songs than Testament did.
Yeah. Testament's set was extremely short. It was like almost in a twilight zone, because obviously Testament's a huge band. And what's great is any one of those bands could have headlined. And what's interesting, I always find this like a little interesting thing, is like, if Carcass headlined tonight, people have been losing their minds for Carcass. If Testament headlined tonight, people lose their mind for Testament. Obviously tonight was Slayer's night to headline. So it's almost like no matter whoever the headliner is, that's who people lose their mind for. If Slayer was like the middle act, people would have been like, yeah, it's Slayer, and then like people would have lost their minds for Testament. So it's always like, it's almost like a psychological thing, but all three bands were phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, when Carcass was playing, I kept thinking to myself, why the hell are they third on the bill? Carcass could definitely headline a tour, and everybody was cheering and clapping, and I was like, they could totally headline, and it just seemed kind of wrong. But then compared to the fact that they were opening for Testament and Slayer, and last time I saw Testament, they were the headliners here with Anthrax underneath them, and I actually think I swear Buke saw them, and it was Anthrax with Testament opening. So who the fuck knows how that works?
It may have been one of those times where they co-headline. So depending upon each night, they alternate nights closing or headlining, I should say. So yeah, I think I saw the exact same tour, and Anthrax was the headliner here at the Fillmore, I think. Mm-hmm. So here we are, Fillmore, Silver Springs. It's March 5th.
Jay's birthday. Happy birthday, Jay.
Happy birthday, Jay.
Happy birthday, Jay, you old fuck.
Slightly older than me, fuck.
2 years older than me, fuck.
Yeah, so I thought it was a great show. This was my third time seeing Slayer, and I was telling Mark.
Wait, seriously, only your third time ever?
Yeah, isn't that fucking weird?
I was surprised by that, too.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, I saw them in 94 on the, I think it was 94. But anyway, the Divine Intervention Tour was the first time I saw them, and that was fucking just, I want to say hysterical, but that's not quite. It was fucking crazy, and that was one of the things I took away from today, was that the floor was not as crazy as I was expecting it to be. I was telling Mark, I'm like, oh, this shit's gonna be fucking crazy, because like when we saw Anthrax here, the whole fucking floor, like when they did the war dance, the whole floor was just a writhing pit of people.
I'll tell you why it wasn't as crazy, because two of the guys who were in the floor the entire time were Mark and I. We're old dudes. I'm married with 2 kids. He's married with 2 kids plus a newborn, so 3. All right. So you got all these old guys in the pit, all right? But we were in there. Where were you, George? Where were you?
Okay, so Slayer,
old dudes with kids in the pit. Where was George?
No, I'm the first to admit I don't do the pit anymore. I am old. And but it was funny because as soon as Slayer started playing, the 3 of us are standing there, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, yeah, Slayer's on, and all of a sudden I get this like sort of like a bump to the back of my shoulder, and there goes Mark. He's hopping in the pit, and I'm talking to Will. I'm like, oh, there he goes. God damn it! I was just telling him what a pussy I am, that I don't go in the pit anymore.
Yeah, Mark was definitely in the pit before me, and I was like, well, if he's going, I gotta go.
Yeah. So then the first song they opened with was. Repentless, yeah, I lost it there. And then the second song they played was Postmortem, and as soon as that hit, you were fucking gone. And at the same time, I was just sort of like shoved to the side. I'm only about like 10 feet to the right, but yeah, I was like, it's a good place to be because I'm old.
I needed to rest, man. You go in, you mix it up, and then you rest. Whereas I feel like, 25 years ago, the hallmark of those shows, there was no rest. No resting in the pit, so I took a couple of breaks, but I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah, on the Divine Intervention tour when I saw them, it was fucking nuts. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And back then, Slayer shows were like, known for being fucking dangerous. Flip cars over, start them on fire, that kind of shit. And I remember I went to the show with my friend Noble and my friend Sammy. And my friend Sammy is a girl. And Noble and I went in the pit. And at the end of the set, we came out, and Sammy was sitting there at the back of the hall, and she was crying. And we were like, "Why are you crying?" And she's like, "I thought you guys were gonna die." So, maybe it's...
Wait, was that your reaction? Did you think that Mark and I were going to die? Were you crying?
No.
Is that why you're telling the story?
Maybe it's nostalgia, but honestly, I think the Slayer pits were a little crazier back in the day. And get off my goddamn lawn, you kids!
Yeah.
Well, I think it was Rain in Blood, but there was a moment towards the end where they went right into something. That was the moment where it was the fiercest of all night. It was the biggest and fiercest, somewhere towards the end.
Yeah, like they started playing South of Heaven because they played a lot of songs that You Against You song, which I think
Take Control.
Yeah, so there's a few songs that are sort of like, okay, not the greatest song. I know you want to play some new stuff, but it's like, okay, everyone's like, that's the song everyone's kind of takes a break for, and then they rip into South of Heaven, everyone loses their mind again. So
yeah, well, from my vantage point back in the pussy section, I could tell that the songs that really got people going were Postmortem, which people just lost their shit, and War Ensemble.
Oh yeah, definitely War Ensemble.
And then of course the closing song, Angel of Death. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's interesting because for years they closed with Rain and Blood, and tonight they closed with Angel of Death. So it was a nice reprieve back to the old days.
Yeah. DC Metal Chris is here too. Well, not with us, but he was here at the show. And I commented to him after the set that, right before they played Dead Skin Mask, Tom's like, "We're going to leave you with a love song." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You haven't played Angel of Death yet, motherfucker."
Yeah. Well, I thought they were going to play Necrophiliac. That's usually what he starts talking about. When Tom Araya, the lead singer, he starts talking about love song, it's usually it's Postmortem or what's the other song? Not Interceptor. I'm drawing a blank. It's I think it's on drawing a blank. It's a song about having sex with a woman.
Sex, Murder, Art?
No. Captor of Sin.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is Slayer's got a lot of songs about fucking things that may or may not be alive.
Yes, actually, now they do. Yes, they do.
Willing, not willing, dead, alive. They don't really distinguish between those things.
Yeah.
I would like to comment on Tom Araya's leather pants. Leather pants I did not think were metal, but those were pretty metal.
Yeah. They went well with his new man boobs, which he sweated in and around and under tonight.
That beard that he's rocking now, back at Christmas time, we were like, oh, he's Santa Claus. Now I think of him as Father Metal, because that fucking beard and that hair, and it's just Tom. It's still pretty badass.
It was my first time seeing him. He definitely has a stage presence and a kind of charisma. It's a little understated, so it's definitely cool.
Yeah, he's definitely not yelling or screaming when he's talking to the crowd. It's very controlled, like he is, like he's Father Tom. It's almost like he's a priest. He's like, "Hello, how are you guys doing? Are you guys doing okay?"
A couple times the song would end, and he'd just stand there and just he wasn't like, he'd just sit there and look out at, and people next to me were commenting. They're like, "He's so fucking badass. He doesn't even need to say anything. He just sits there and looks at us," and we're like, "Yeah."
The lights are on him, and people are losing their minds.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the set, I definitely noticed a large gaping Jeff Hanneman-sized hole. But I got to say, Gary Holt fucking tore that shit up, and it didn't bother me at all. I mean, it bothered me that Jeff's not with us, but he, Slayer still fucking kicked some serious ass. That's to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first time I saw Slayer with Gary on guitar, I was skeptical. And I think the first time I saw him, it was definitely not as good as if Jeff was there, but I have to say in the last couple of years that Jeff was still alive and playing with them, he didn't really have his A game. But the last 3 times I saw Slayer when Gary was on, so I've seen I think 4 times since Gary's been on. The last 3 times it's been his A game. I hate to say this because I love Jeff Hanneman, but it's almost like you don't miss him because Gary is a phenomenal guitarist. So he fills in well. Yeah,
and I'm surprised you didn't point out the fact that I'm such a pussy that I'm in the back when the guy in the fucking wheelchair is crowd surfing to the front of the fucking show. I mean, I saw that and I was like, holy shit, the fucking wheelchair guy is crowd surfing. And I was like, you don't see that every day. But I actually don't think it's the first time I've seen it. I swear I've seen this before.
I've definitely seen wheelchair guys crowd surfing at the Fillmore many times. I didn't actually see it tonight because I was actually busy in the pit, so I didn't see it from the back. And did you see it, Mark?
I did. He was right next to me. Yeah, he went. I think he rolled over my foot.
Well, and then apparently he lost his shoe because as we were leaving, you saw somebody putting his shoe back on him. So
there was literally a guy for there was literally a guy for 10 minutes holding this black Vans or whatever shoe up for 10 minutes, and then as we're walking out after we all go to the bathroom, and it's like, oh, it's the guy in the wheelchair lost his shoe.
That makes sense. He's the one that can't go get it.
Yeah, the guy who can't go get it, and the guy who actually doesn't really need it. It's his shoe.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. We got anything else? Let me think.
We should do this more often.
Definitely. And as I was telling Mark, he needs to come up and sit in on one of the upcoming podcasts.
I want to mention that Mark is wearing a Black Fast T-shirt tonight. And I love that band. I think we all like that band.
Yeah, I think Buke just went half-mast.
Yeah. But weird story is Battlecross came to my brewery Fairwinds, and then they said hey, Will, play some music, and so this is the 3rd time they've come to a brewery that I worked at, and I started playing Blackfast, and one of the guys, and I told this story before on the podcast, but anyway, one of the guys who's a guitar tech for Battlecross is yeah, you're playing Blackfast, I know those guys, and literally he started texting them, and next thing I know a Blackfast sticker and shirt shows up at my door. So it was love Blackfast. Thank you guys if you happen to be listening.
I bought this T-shirt the day after Thanksgiving, and they're probably not the only one, but it was their Black Friday sale, and so I bought a T-shirt and a CD on Black Friday from Blackfast. So.
Blackfast, Black Friday, right on.
So metal cross promotion on Black Friday.
Were you fasting after?
I didn't take it that literally. But yeah.
George has been fasting. He's quite svelte these days.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm in training for Maryland Death Fest. Literally. I mean, my wife was like, "Fucking fat bitch, get skinny." But the way I'm justifying it in my mind is I am in training for Death Fest because last year my fat ass was hurting after 2 days standing in the sun and the fucking heat, and I'm doing 3 days this year.
You were hurting after 30 minutes at barbecue.
Yeah,
I was hurting afterwards, but you were hurting during it.
Yeah, so I'm in training to try and be able be in a little better shape for Death Fest this year. Yeah. So,
one of the closing things I have to say about tonight is when you have such a big, 3 big bands, Carcass, Testament, and Slayer, playing at a big show in the DC area, you just basically I felt like every 3 seconds I walked around, I saw somebody I knew, whether it was Metal Chris and his girlfriend Catherine, or Sean Henry, who listens to the podcast. I see him at every show. Ariel Lopez was there. Chris and Chrissia. So Chris is literally the head caregiver where my kids go to school, and Chrissia, and who else did we see? Dorothy Morgan was there, and Jason Wagner was there. All these people who I hope listen to the podcast. I'm name dropping, but it's all these people that we're all friends with that were like everyone. Oh, and Dan Siegel from Adroit Theory, another brewer, and walking out we saw Blake Harrison from.
This is where I play the Oscar music.
No, but we saw Blake Harrison from Hatebeak and Pig Destroyer and Richard from Drugs of Fate. So it's like one of those things like you just see everybody when it's a big show like this. Everyone comes out, you just see tons of people, and now you can start playing the music.
Yeah, well, this is why most of our listeners actually come to us through Will, because every time we go anywhere, Will talks to like 50 different people. When we were at Guarbecue, you knew everybody there. And I'm like, I'm Mr. Antisocial. I don't know shit, I just tag along for the ride and hold the microphone. But
it helps when you brew beer and people like to drink beer. You become slightly popular. Yeah.
So that was my mistake. I just do a stupid podcast that nobody gives a shit about. Next time I'll make beer.
Yes, make beer.
All right. Anything else? Any closing remarks there, Mark?
Pleased to meet you guys. See Will again. Thanks for having me. I love the show. It's cool to meet you guys. I don't know. Go to church tomorrow. I'm gonna go to church tomorrow. I think after that.
You kind of have to after Slayer,
by
don't
the way,
you?
I loved so when the curtain was down before Slayer came on, they had it was like a white curtain with red crosses on it, and I'm sitting there and I was like, I just talked to like whoever was standing in front of me, like they're gonna turn upside down. This cross is gonna turn upside down. And
they were white crosses, white upright crosses, and then they turned red and turned upside down.
Yes, that's it. And they turned upside down. I was like, okay, this is going to be awesome. So I will not be going to church tomorrow, but
don't want to burst into flames.
No, but have fun with that, Mark.
yeah. Tell them. We'd be there if we could. All right. Well, unless there's anything else, we will sign off for this time, and we'll talk soon, and we'll definitely get Mark to come up and sit in with us, hopefully sometime in the next month.
Yeah.
And
say the word and I'll be there.
Maybe Will gets to come along sometime too.
Yeah,
and
I'll come too.
And John, my name is John.
Hi, my name is John.
My name is John. Hi, John. How are you? All right.
By the way, I did see John earlier today. He came to the 1-year anniversary party at Fairwind, so I did see John today. But he is completely doped up on antibiotics because he's got a drippy nose, so he didn't make it out tonight.
And John, a man whose appearance and voice and attitude do not match more than quite a few people I've ever met. But I appreciated that about him. And I was like, "Oh, you're John." I did not. You look nothing like I expected you to look like.
What did you think you looked like?
Shorter, less hair, maybe shorter hair. I don't know.
John is a very tall man.
Yes, he's literally like he's like a little taller than me, a little shorter. Like, by the way, Mark is like 6'7". I'm like 6'1", he's like 6'7". John's probably like 6'3".
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
big
that's
guy.
true. You are tall as well, and I am.
Are you serious? Are you like 6'5"?
6'5", yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, so that's a good 6 inches on me. Short, fat, and
Everyone's got 6
Oh.
inches on you.
Oh, I walked into that one. All right.
On that note,
On that note, back to the podcast.
see ya.
See ya.
Good night.
All right, so there you have it. That was our take on the Slayer show. It was me, Will, and Mark. And hopefully Mark will be joining us in the next month or so in the studio and come down, and you'll get to hear from him as well.
I believe he just had a new child.
He did.
Oh, congratulations, Mark.
So I'm going to let Buke take this next one. He just played something for me yesterday that I thought was pretty cool. We're going to share with you a clip of that, but I'm going to let Buke do the intro on it.
All right, so I, video gamer that I am, I listen to a bunch of podcasts. One of the podcasts I listen to is the Idle Thumbs podcast. They are made up of a bunch of game designers and writers. Some of them just released the game Firewatch. Well, on their podcast, they're sponsored by Squarespace, and through that sponsorship with Squarespace, I learned of that site, and I suggested that that's who we use for the new wearemetalheads.com page. So that's what George used, and our site is slick now. Mobile was always a problem for us, and Squarespace really helped us take that to a different level. So as a thanks to them, I wrote a nice email, and as you're about to hear here, the guys mentioned it, and so check this out.
A reader wrote in to tell us about his website that he used the thumbs code to register on Squarespace, It is wearemetalheads.com.
Okay.
He says, I'm one of the co-hosts of the Metalheads podcast, and for years we looked for the easiest way to design our website, to host podcasts and reviews. Squarespace couldn't have been easier. I personally, at OpethFan on Twitter, follow every Idle Thumbs on Twitter, and while it's clearly evident none of you are metalheads, if you'd like to take a dive into loud screaming vocals, face-melting solos, and blast drum beats, check us and our podcast out at wearemetalheads.com. So that's a really good counterpoint to the idiotic metal-related non-discussion we had about 2 minutes ago. Maybe we can learn about what...
Maybe we can become metalheads.
Maybe we can become metalheads. Maybe we will be metalheads.com.
It's true.
Squarespace is incredibly easy to use. You can put together websites that work on mobile. I'm looking at wearemetalheads.com on mobile right now. Looks like they have 43 episodes so far of the Metalheads podcast.
Podcasts, interviews, reviews, metal. wearemetalheads.com. It's a really nice site.
Yep.
It's really good. I really like seeing the super clean Squarespace aesthetic, then filled with like a shitload of demons and stuff. Like it's what you want.
And that was it. That was we are metalheads being talked about on the Idle Thumbs podcast. I thought it was really, really funny.
Yeah, we will be metalheads.
Yeah, we will be metalheads.com. I thought it was fun. It was cool that they, gave, George being the perfectionist he is. I love him for it. They really gave him, a nice comment that, the page looked nice.
Yep. That made me feel good to hear something like that,
I'm going to call that professional grade recognition that you got from the work you put into this,
Yes. Yeah, from these guys looking at it, that's definitely about as high honors as you can get, so.
Yeah. So that's a nice little validation there for what was a lot of hard fucking work. Speaking on, you see.
Sure so was.
Sort of
go enjoy this site, damn it, because I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, and you better damn well enjoy it.
There you go. I was kind of bugging George this week because I was downloaded from iTunes the Twisted Sister documentary, which we talked about a few episodes back. It's called We Are Twisted Fucking Sister. And it was in the theaters very briefly. I mean, like now, I think, and maybe it's gone already. But so I downloaded this thing because I'm an old Twisted Sister fan. And for those of you who really kind of don't know, I don't know, what all our listeners think or feel or know about Twisted Sister, but they were a legit metal band. I mean, they weren't some glammy rock band or something like that, though they did start out, ironically, as a glammy rock band. And I just am kind of pimping this thing a little bit. It was one of the better rock documentaries I've ever seen. And it gives you a real glimpse into what the 70s scene was like, because that's when they started, when people used to actually go to shows, like local shows.
Yeah.
These guys made a pretty good career out of playing 2,000 in front of anywhere from 500 to 2,000 people a night for 10 years before anybody who knew they, on the national scene knew who they were. And this documentary is that story, and it's got a lot of old footage, really cool stories. I'm going to kind of sum it up there and just say highly recommend it. And the other cool thing is actually, it's fun to watch them become kind of a rock band, then a hard rock band, and then a straight up metal band. And they don't even talk about that in the documentary. It's just the video footage belies that, So, yeah, man, highly recommend it.
Right on. And if you like that, I can also recommend to you Dee Snider's autobiography called Shut Up and Give Me the Mic. Check that out on Amazon. Not that I get a kickback or anything. I don't. But it's still worth checking out.
I haven't read that. And you mentioned that as we spoke this week. So I'm going to pick it up. Because I'm a D fan,
Oh, big time. He's definitely one of my all-time biggest heroes.
Yeah. Cool motherfucker.
Right on. All right. So we've got an interview for you this week. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Buke went out and snagged us the band Hoth from Seattle. And why don't we get into that interview and, you hear some music and you'll be like, damn, these guys are awesome. I need to pick that album up. So here you go.
This week's featured band. This week's featured band. This week's featured band. Listen to this.
Hello and welcome to the Metalheads podcast. My name is George.
This is Buke.
And this is Jay.
And we are joined today by the guys from Hoth. Would you please introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Hey, I'm Eric from Hoth, and greetings, I am David from Hoth. Yeah, we're both from Hoth. We're the Hoth guy.
The Hoth brothers.
Yeah,
It's nice. It only occurs to me now that when you both say you're from Hoth, there's not a lot of bands. I mean, it would be Kansas and bands like that when they say they're from a place, it sounds like they're from a place. I mean, we're actually from Hoth.
Gentlemen, first off, here on the Metalheads podcast, we've done, what, George, 46, 47 episodes now?
This is episode 45.
Okay, bands from all over the world we've had on and interviewed. But this is now, what, the fourth band from the Seattle area?
Oh.
Yeah, we had a Flourishing Scourge, and we had Theories.
Theories. We had Ashen Horde.
Ashen Horde's actually L.A.
LA, yeah. But the implication is that you guys have something that resembles the scene up there. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's actually a handful of pretty good bands in the area. Shout out to one of our favorite local bands, Skeletor, traditional heavy metal. Put on kick-ass shows around here. If you haven't listened to them, you got to check them out.
Okay, Skeletor is a great name.
Sounds
With a
familiar.
name like that, that's awesome. Do they come out with like the castle behind them, the toy that I always wanted as a kid, but I could never fucking get? Oh,
No, they
man.
don't really do the. They don't really do the.
No, the dude's got a sword. He comes out with
he
like a
does have a
sword. He's
sword.
got like a long sword.
Oh, that's
I think
badass.
what I really like about them is their vocals are fantastic. The guy just wails. He's probably the closest thing to Iron Maiden I've heard live.
Awesome.
Really? Now that's a bold statement.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I'll people say that to me, and I'm like, and then I went to go see him, and I'm like, wow, you're actually not lying to me for 1 second. You know, when people are like, you should check out this band, and then the band sounds like they recorded on a tape recorder, like a play school tape recorder.
Gentlemen, that's actually we've said this for some of the bands we have had on. That's what put you guys on my radar. We love browsing Bandcamp, and like I said this to the guys last week, the last interview. When something like you guys, and when I heard your Oathbreaker album, it makes you literally stop for a second and be like, you know, can I just hear that correctly? Is this actually sounding clear? Is this does this sound like there's production value to this? And more so to that, you guys in the style of, for those who haven't heard you, as a black metal band or melodic death in some parts, even more so, breaking the mold of what like self-produced stuff could be.
Well, I appreciate that. That's really nice to hear. That people
I-
think that it sounds good.
Oh, gentlemen, it sounds amazing. I first wanted to start and ask you guys. You guys have 2 full-length out, Infinite Darkness and Oathbreaker. You guys, there's definite growth from Infinite Darkness to Oathbreaker, but I saw an interesting thing on Reddit, I believe. One of you guys said that Infinite Darkness was fun, but Oathbreaker was like you guys really getting down to business. Is that a perfect description of it?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty concise way to describe it. I mean, Infinite Darkness was kind of the culmination of the ideas that started the whole project. We sort of had these ideas, and it was just sort of a fun thing that came together, and we were like, hey, that was cool. This was good, but I think we can do better. And so for Oathbreaker, we sort of took a lot of those seeds that we had started, and we grew them. We really pushed ourselves to try and create something that we were really proud of. Push it beyond something that was just fun for us, but that we felt like we could stand behind and be really proud of. And I think that we accomplished that to some extent, but it's looking back on it, there's always things where it's like, like we could do this better, we could do that better, and so we're looking towards the future. We're looking for a new album where we can take those bits that we think we can improve and we can make even better. So it's always a continuous process, a continuous growth for us, I think.
Now, with Oathbreaker being independently released by you guys, do you think that kind of frees you guys from maybe having to please a third-party record label or other companies, and you can take what you think you did wrong and maybe fix them going forward without saying, hey, like some big corporate PR guy or, some corporate president's up here saying, oh, I don't like when you did this, Eric, or, David, could you change this?
Yeah, I think it definitely gives us a lot of freedom, and that's and being a completely independent artist is powerful. I mean, you can ask any band. There's no money in making metal, so why be brought down by someone else's expectations? We've been in talks before with people who want us to put out things on vinyl, get a vinyl deal. It's like, hey, we'll put your album on vinyl, and but you got to do X, Y, and Z. We want to cut these songs off the album to make it short enough to fit on a two sides. We want you to play these shows. We want you to, so it's kind of like, as soon as you're beholden to someone else, then you're not in complete creative control. So I love being in complete creative control, and I know that there's a lot of other independent bands that they definitely they stay away from the big labels. They stay away from anything that would constrain their creativity. So.
But now, is there with that said, is there some things though you wish you're like, man, I wish we had somebody to help us with these whatever.
Oh man, mixing.
Mixing or something. Yeah, mixing. There you go. Exactly. I wish somebody would help us with this, but
Speaking of mixing, though, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, what's the situation? How did you record? You did this at home? You guys doing it at studio? What were you doing?
Yeah, we did the vast majority of production in the basement of my house, and
that is awesome.
Yeah, I just. I make a pot of coffee. I drink said pot of coffee.
What's your guys brand? What's your favorite brand, and how do you drink it?
I make either French press or pour over, and I just get whatever's dark.
Mike Hill, the lead singer of Tombs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band, but he's a big coffee guy. He keeps telling me to get a French press. Apparently, that's the way to go. If you're the second person now saying that.
Well, if you like working to make your coffee. There's that, because you do the filter, you got to clean it, and then you got to grind everything, and if you want to be your own barista, then
I just threw away my Keurig, so I'm taking baby steps.
Lots of coffee, and then I think I really just like self-producing, mostly because whenever I'm in a studio or somewhere else, I, no matter what, feel like I'm on their time. Even if they're like, whoa, it's just per song, or I feel like every take I do where I'm like, I gotta true that up a little bit, where I'm wasting their time instead of my own.
Even if you're paying for it,
Totally, yeah. And so I'm a big fan of self-producing, and then maybe from there moving on and having someone aid with mixing. And then we do have a guy here in Seattle that masters.
I want to be more specific though. Like, what are you doing? You got a PC set up down there, going through a certain program? I mean, what exactly?
Let's see, my whole chain. I've got a couple interfaces. I use stuff from the company Apogee because I like them. They do these.
He's a Mac guy.
I'm an all Apple guy.
The video gamer in me's hurting right now.
I love how plug and play everything is with Apple. Like I mean, can we curse?
Yes, yeah, please. Curse
I don't want to fuck around
frequently
with where it's like drivers. Updates, drivers. And it's like just plug it in, play. It makes it. It's out of my way. I'm there making music, and So I use Apogee interfaces. I really like that company, and from there we've got your basic SM57, 58s to mic stuff, and I reamp a lot of stuff. I've actually been using Guitar Rig to reamp stuff, and then been really impressed with it. And I do all the bass and guitar takes myself, and then we brought in a couple other musicians on contract to do some stuff. So the stuff you hear on Oathbreaker that's like way out there, the piano. So funny.
That was going to be one of my questions. Who is the piano player?
Fact, my roommate is a piano teacher, and she's a fantastic classical performance pianist, and I had her. So I wrote it, and I kind of hummed it to her. She wrote it out on the staff, and then played it, and then I kind of tweaked it, and then we had her record it. And then one of her best friends plays cello, and so that's how we got the cello on the album, too. So
I'm glad you asked if you could swear before you said pianist, by the way. Well done.
Pianist. I really tried to emphasize the ist.
So, guys, when you're downstairs, because George here, not to throw my friend under the bus, but he had a basement studio, and a pretty nice setup for what he had. Like, he actually had a room off to the side, like, looked like a pro studio. George is behind the glass. How are you guys getting, like, the sound, the noise reduction and all that stuff? Do you have, like, a little soundproof box that you've built? Do you just hang up?
Yeah, we wait until everyone's gone. I mean, I remember, I have a vivid memory of when we were tracking vocals on Oathbreaker, and it was like 85 degrees, and it was back when Eric still lived in an apartment, and we were like, in the middle of Seattle in an apartment, super hot, and there's probably just like 25 other people within 10 feet of us in their apartment. So, and I mean, it worked out. Blankets, it's pretty DIY.
Definitely not the glamorous studio images we have seen, like Megadeth and them over the years, hanging out in the studios.
We do not have Megadeth money.
No.
Do you are you Duke mentioned gaming, and this was way off track, but are you guys video game players?
Yeah.
Yes.
I asked because there's the acoustic bit on Oathbreaker that comes in pretty early in the album, and I don't know if it's the end of track 1 or the beginning of track 2. I apologize.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching my player, but it sounds like something from Diablo to me.
Oh yeah. I played all the Diablos. Eric and I both play StarCraft. I was a long-time WoW player too, and now we both play Destiny, and I'm dabbling in Fallout. So
yeah, we got some Destiny buddies. We got some.
Now,
buddies.
okay. Now I can really ask one of the questions I want to know. You say you're deep into Destiny. Do you find it was a disappointment at first? Total disappointment to me.
I played it for about a month, and then I stopped playing for a year, and I only recently got back into it, and I found a bunch of people to play with. So it was kind of a rebirth, a reawakening of Destiny for me.
PlayStation or Xbox for you guys?
What's that?
Are you guys on PlayStation or Xbox?
I'm on Xbox. He's on PlayStation.
Okay.
So we don't actually play together.
No.
Yeah, I'll have to get your guys' names later because I'm on both. I'm just a video game slut.
You guys are kind of an interracial family over there. That's interesting that you guys get along. It's nice.
Well, yeah, Xbox.
Yeah, guys.
FedEx, Coke, Pepsi. I'm into it, man.
Guys, it's 2016. Sees us now with a new Star Wars film. Are you guys sick of all the Star Wars questions coming to you guys, or did you kind of know going into it that that's what people were going to associate you guys with, even though you guys have clearly said in numerous interviews that the lyrics, like for Oathbreaker, can be attached to Norse mythology, any hero character, video games. It doesn't have to go with like a Star Wars.
Yeah, super sick of hearing. Everybody's like, "Hey, do you like Star Wars? Have you guys seen the Star Wars movies?" And it's like,
Hey, Hoth, Han shot first. LOL, am I right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you think that people they talk to a monomarth and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about Vikings, guys?" It's like
What do you think about Tolkien? That's what you took your name from, right?
Yeah, so it gets a bit tedious, and so it's like, yeah, we like Star Wars.
We'll talk about Star Wars.
Most people like Star Wars, but it's definitely something that we've been, obviously the first album, really, that's how it all started, right? We can't deny that that's how it started, but it's definitely, we don't want to sort of be pigeonholed into this gimmick. Right, and we definitely have tried to compose music that, like you said, and we've said, is sort of has these broader themes that are applicable to the story being told in Star Wars. But I want to show that that's a story told across.
So who is to blame when this episode ends? Who's getting hit saying, "Told you shouldn't have gone with Hoth"?
And then again, and which, by the way, I also need to just go ahead and wrap up all my fucking questions now. So I'm joking.
But I'm sure you guys were a lot younger when you started. Easy to grab from. The material is there. For somebody who can't even write a fucking lick of lyrics or songwriting myself, I'm a big hockey fan. I could probably write an album about like my Capitals hockey or something like
Hockey
that.
metal.
Yeah, hockey
that
metal.
would be really funny.
Exactly. Gentlemen, you guys moving forward, will this year find new Hoth material coming out?
That would be nice. We can't promise it'll be this year, but
don't promise that. Yeah,
there will be more in the future. But it's a slow process. It's it's like, we're not beholden to any sort of record contract. We're not supposed to get anything out at any time, so we sort of take it at our own pace, and we definitely take our time to try and make the best possible music that we can.
Guys, is that something that you have found kind of hard, or do you not? Because you guys said it, you're not making money off this. You're not going to get rich off this. Once you put the album out, since it's just you two guys behind it, is it hard? Like, here we are, March 6th right now. Is it hard to, or do you guys not care if people don't find Oathbreaker now, where maybe, like, if you had like a record label behind you, they'd still be, waving your guys' flag for you guys, a couple years after release?
I think people still find it all the time. Certainly having a record label, having that power of distribution behind you, you know, they can get your album in places that you can't get on your own. So, I mean, there's some benefit to the record label, definitely, in terms of distribution, and I think most of the time that's what bands are paying for. They're paying for that ability to get their album out there to different people. So maybe, but at the same time, I think that, you know, it's almost been 2 years since Oathbreaker's come out at this point, so I think that definitely, you know, the record label will be pushing us to come out with something new at this point, rather than you know, trying to direct people to buying the Oathbreaker album.
Yeah. George, I think he can back me up on this. Him and I, I'm sorry, have bought a lot on Bandcamp. I don't think I've had to click on the more button to scroll down the page to see how many people have bought your album like Oathbreaker has. It's incredible how many people have supported this album.
Yeah,
it's awesome to see.
And it's really just through word of mouth and definitely a huge part with Reddit. But also
it's awesome.
Just resharing on Facebook, and then I think maybe about a year ago or now on Facebook, the Black Dahlia Murder shared us. The guy from the Black Dahlia Murder was like,
Wow.
You know it's good for you. You'll listen to Hoth. And Eric and I were like, holy shit. And, I think we got like a couple thousand more likes that day on Facebook.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So that was cool. And every now and then, you know, like, it doesn't happen as much, but when the album was newer, you know, every now and then there'd be like some blog somewhere that would pick us up and run a feature or something. There was some Hungarian metal website that shared us, and suddenly we had like a disproportionately large number of Hungarian fans, and it was pretty awesome. So
now I really want to go hungry.
So then when I reached out to you guys to interview you, you're like, how the fuck are these guys bothering us 2 years after the fact? Thanks.
Yeah. And they're not from Hungary, so I don't know what that's about. No, they heard about us.
Guys,
It's a little easier to work out a time when you're in our country.
Yes.
I have to ask, you guys also, which I think is so cool, have a Christmas album for the God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Whose idea was that, and how did that come about?
I don't remember whose idea that was, but I don't even remember how we. Yeah,
I'm really into Christmas metal. Mostly spawning from my hatred of Christmas popular music, all that Christmas music. Like as soon as I hear that, I'm like, oh, Christmas metal needs to happen. And so I've got this playlist with the Christopher Lee, rest his soul, Christmas songs, and then you know, there's the one I kind of lump in the Twisted Sister Christmas stuff, and then there's a couple crazy guys out there. There's like a total shred master who did a Tech Death Tchaikovsky album, and I love the shit out of that.
Ronnie James Dio's God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen is like top.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've got this massive playlist that's ever expanding, and I think, I mean, I don't know what direction we'll take this year, but I think we do want to do a Christmas song every year. And some Christmas songs, like the way they translate.
Well, we forgot to do one last year.
Yeah, we did.
And the year before.
But we did King Diamond, so we did the King Diamond cover.
Now, okay, were you guys, for your cover or take on King Diamond, are you guys even attempting to hit his vocals, or are you doing it in a Hoth way?
Yeah.
Who is hitting them? Nice!
He's got away with the falsetto.
I've got some weird, freakish falsetto, some demons inside of me.
You know, it's right up where you guys live. It's the first time I saw 3 Inches of Blood.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw Cam Pipes up on stage, and he hits that falsetto, and my head just fucking explodes.
Yeah.
Because it's like you see a big guy like him, and you I can't do that. I could do it maybe when I was 11. I love it. I love a good fucking rock scream. I love it.
Oh yeah.
So could we see maybe going forward? Could we see a about face on you guys, and could you guys maybe be like more new wave of British heavy metal, bringing the rock screams out on the new Hoth album?
I don't think that'll happen under the Hoth banner. But the King Diamond song was definitely fun. So it was good. It was good doing a cover like that.
We might do a cover again sometime, but who knows?
You guys like doing covers?
Yes and no. I get frustrated when I have to learn someone else's song.
Yeah.
So, guys, what I have to ask you the boring questions because people want to know what got you guys into metal, and have you guys lived in the Seattle area your whole life? Was the influences coming from living up there? Because obviously, I thought you guys would be like an Alice in Chains band or something.
Oh yeah.
I was born and raised here in the Seattle area, and ever since I really started listening to music, it's been metal. You know, I started with the entry level bands. You know, I started with a lot of Metallica and Iron Maiden, and sort of branched out from there as like a teenager. And now I feel like I'm into the really obscure shit. Just going probably what you guys do, going around on Bandcamp and you just like find some band that only one person has ever listened to before, and it's just like the best black metal you've ever
That's
heard.
George.
Something.
Every episode, George hits us with like 20 of those.
Awesome.
And I was mostly raised around here, born in the Midwest. I don't know if this area had an influence on me for metal, but I think around middle school I realized that I really liked double bass. I just liked music that was. One of my weirdo friends who would like wear trench coats to school and those pants with the chains on them was like, "Bro, listen to Dimmu Borgir," and I heard that. I'm serious. And then in like a week, I was like, "I can't stop listening to this."
Was it the Death Cult album?
It was Puritanically Euphoric Misanthropia.
Yep.
Yeah, so I got into them, and then branched off to like Old Man's Child, and started listening to some other black metal in middle school, and I definitely had my embarrassing metalcore phase where I just really liked metalcore, and once I moved out of my parents' house, I got more into. I think compared to Eric, I'm more into death and tech death, and I like some of the showy stuff when it's tasteful.
Eric,
but,
do you ever think to yourself, why am I in a band with him?
Yeah,
I think that.
We're losing this connection here. I don't know what's happening, but I guess this.
Uh-oh.
It was the metalcore thing that threw me off.
Oh,
yeah. I think that whenever I always picture when we have this conversation, and we usually do, when it's you're in junior high or whatever it is when you're discovering this, and I always picture that scene from The Omen where he's looking at his scalp in the mirror, trying to. He sees the 3 6s on himself. He's like, "Oh no, I am one of those guys."
How did you guys grow up with one another through middle school, high school? Did you guys find each other recently?
We went to the same high school. We weren't in the same grade. Didn't know each other at all in high school. Didn't even meet each other in high school. But we were. I guess we were there together at the same time. So it was actually after high school. It was actually it was in college when we met. We had a mutual friend and we met, and I think the first time we hung out, we like took a hike.
I kidnapped him. I actually saw him on the street, and I was like, "I know that guy." When we were we were going to go on a hike to a place called the Bat Caves, and we had never been to the Bat Caves.
They're not actually caves, and there's no bats, but
it's a series of rocks.
Just a creepy old man with a young boy.
It's a van with like blankets covering the windows or something.
I actually just saw him walking on the street, and I was like, "Hey, I know him. He went to my high school." And my friend who was driving actually did know Eric, and then we just rolled down the window and yelled at him to get in the car that we were going to the Bat Caves.
And I was like, "All right."
Okay. Now, what does it say for Eric that without thinking he gets in a van going to the Bat Caves?
So
Why not?
So they
We're
were playing
in a dark,
Rap City.
secluded place.
They
You want to
had
go?
fire going on.
Yeah,
So
we were
it's
listening to some power metal.
I was like, "That's some sweet power metal. Let's do it."
Dude, that's even fucking worse, though, dude. It's this a kid on the street. We're going to a dark, secluded place in the woods, and we're listening to Slayer right now. So I don't know. You interested?
There's some serial killer here who's listening to the podcast who's
Making
failed.
notes.
Yeah, they failed numerous times. Now they're going to get the hookup. They're going to be like, now I can pick him up and just blare some Power of the Dragon flame as I'm pulling up next to him.
If a serial killer is out there and is going to pick people up in a van while listening to metal, he might, statistically, it's probable, pick up someone who is a serial killer who kills people that picks people up in vans listening to metal.
Holy shit! You got a math guy over there.
I think my brain hurts now.
That was fucked up. There's no way this guy doesn't work for Microsoft or something. That was an algorithm.
Close. We won't talk about that, though.
Yeah, no. Guys, so when you guys started, after the Bat Caves, which, you don't talk about the Bat Caves, when it was Hoth, you guys' first endeavor together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so was it a two-piece from the start?
Yes.
Yeah, we were just kind of producing everything, kind of low end, and
Okay, so there are no bodies left at the Bat Caves or prior members.
it sounded pretty terrible at first. And I guess you could say the demos that led to Infinite Darkness were fueled by beer.
Yeah.
Whereas the Oathbreaker was all fueled by coffee.
Have you ever grabbed some other people to play some shows, or is this strictly studio?
I mean, we haven't ruled out ever playing shows, but
We get asked a lot.
it's
So we hear you, and we'd love to.
I was just wondering if you had in the past. Some bands it's two people, and then when they go tour or play shows, they just bring in a couple extra players.
We would love to play a live show, and the thing is, we're such perfectionists. I've heard bands that get up there and play, and then what's the gap between how many representatives they have on stage and their actual recording is then made up for by a MacBook. Like, that just eats away at my soul, and so we would need keys and strings and backup vocals and
you can't get
bass, two guitarists, and yeah. So I have a group in town that I perform with. It's not metal, so I play in this indie rock band, and we play shows about once or twice a month, and yeah, I'm busy with a lot of stuff. But
Is that exciting for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, people get really sweaty and dance, and girls talk to me, and that's
Things that don't happen with metal. Got it.
Yeah, say no more. Yeah.
You know what? I need
Or
to
in
go.
any other part of the world.
George was at the Slayer Carcass show last night. Hey, George, how many hot girls were there?
Actually, quite a few.
Okay, never mind.
Were they the bartenders, George? Did they work there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of those were pretty good too.
Yeah, but guys, also we're talking about earlier after Oathbreaker, there are some things that bothered you. Were there any things that you received feedback for that you might have just kind of brushed off, but when it came to light, you guys were like, wow, the listeners surprisingly liked that. Maybe we should do more of that. Something that maybe going into it, Eric, you were like you and David were going back and forth, maybe we shouldn't even have this in here. But then, you're surprised how many people liked it.
Well, I think the things that we thought shouldn't be in there, we took out.
Okay.
I know that there's a choral bit that we recorded that didn't end up in the album. We just didn't like the way it sounded. On the third track, on the Cryptic Nightmares, we were going to put a choral bit on the end, sort of an a cappella, creepy type thing, and we recorded and everything, and it just didn't like the way it sounded. Maybe fans would like it, I don't know, but I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it fit the creative vision that we had. But to answer your question, I don't think that we really left anything in that we weren't sure about.
Okay.
And put it in there. But, I mean, fans all the time, they say that they absolutely, I don't know, just when you make something, you never listen to it with the same perspective that the fans are going to be listening to it. So, I mean, they have a totally different experience listening to it. I mean, I don't know the last time I actually listened to the album since
That was going to be my next question. Yeah.
I have a saying for that, and it's that music sounds a lot different coming towards you than it does going away from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very accurate.
It's like the Doppler effect.
And also, too, it's Jay. He is in a band. He's a singer in a band. Also, another band. But I only say that because Jay's said before on previous episodes that by the time the product is out there, you have heard it on such a microscopic level. That you are almost kind of blind to.
Tone deaf to it. It almost doesn't sound like music anymore.
Yeah, there's some intense listener fatigue with all of my work, and especially Hoth, because we've got longer songs, and yeah.
Well, like you said, mixing is a nightmare.
Now, we have talked to some bands, solo, one-man metal bands. Without having like a normal sized band of 4 or 5 guys, were there any times during the recording where you guys were really going at it, or do you guys' personalities really work for what you guys do?
I feel like we have a really good, it's almost hard for me to imagine that we'd have another creative element, like a third or fourth person in this band. I feel like we bounce ideas back and forth really well. It's like one of us comes up with a riff, the other person's like, hey, that's really cool, let's modify it in this way though, and we sort of go back and forth for a while, and I feel like we work really well together, and I feel that shows on Oathbreaker. I feel like there's a good melding of our creative energies on Oathbreaker. So I feel like we definitely have the personality that works really well. I think that David's way more of a perfectionist than I am. Like, there's plenty of times where I'm like, oh, that sounds good enough, let's do that, and then David's like, no, we gotta, and he just keeps doing it over and over again and tweaking these tiny little things. Like, he's the guy that the reason the album doesn't sound like shit is because he's willing to actually tweak those tiny little details that I definitely don't have the patience for. So that's I definitely could. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, David. First off, if of course people can't see this, guys, isn't he a dead lookalike for Dave Davidson of Revocation? Fucking spot on.
Yeah, he looks like him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his indie rock band that he plays in.
Yeah. That's so that pays the bills, but when I'm here doing stuff for Hoth, it's what I like. So
David, when you sound like a pretty tech savvy guy, doing a lot on your Mac.
Can you hear the scorn and distaste in the way he says that
I
word?
like how this is going so far.
Mac.
As music continues to shift away from actually people needing to play instruments and more to the tech side of it, what is your take on all of that?
I think one of the most important parts about creating music for people and what makes it the best to listen to and the most repeatable and enjoyable is having that organic element and having actually played some part of it. I do also make a lot of electronic music, and I try to integrate organic instruments or organic percussion in there because it keeps it still human. And when you program something and it's all on a grid, I think your curve for your listener fatigue is a lot shallower, and you get sick of listening to it. And it's funny, I'm extremely opinionated. Eric and I talk a lot about music, and I think maybe 30% of all the words that come out of my mouth are critiques of other people's music. And the number one thing I'm saying right now, I'm complaining about music that's entirely electronic. It's all samples, and it's all thrown together, and it's cut up vocals, and it's getting massively popular. These like really like psychedelic down tempo things, wind chimes and synth pads, and I listen to that and it just does nothing for me because there's no one playing an instrument. And I think once you stop playing instruments, it's almost not musical.
It's called
in the same sense.
Play. I will never be able to be okay with the fact that there is rich DJs out there. I don't get that.
I 100% agree.
Did you see
I don't 100% agree, actually.
Whoa!
Whoa! I had a discussion. I think it was the other week. So I definitely agree that there's a huge element of actual musicianship, but for me, I think that the number one thing that that's important to me is overall composition. So I agree that like shit that's all chopped up, with your wind chimes and crap, and what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, and that stuff's awful. But I think that overall, like a composition, like like for a lot of video games and lower budget films, you have someone who's composed multiple layers, and I don't think that you can discount using like a synthetic orchestra. So I think that for me, composition and musical composition, the songwriting itself is the number one thing. But that's not to say that I don't appreciate seeing awesome musicianship. But I guess to me, is when you look at all the musicians, there's a million great guitarists that can totally shred, that can play any song in the world. But the number of great guitarists that can actually also write a great song is a much smaller number.
Very small.
So for me, composition is the highest level that I look at. And if it means that the entire thing is electronic, it was all done on a computer, but the composition is still there, it's an emotive, song that you're listening to and it really speaks to you, that's important to me. But yeah, I also love watching people play guitar. I love the human element. So when you bring those two together, which you often get a lot of times in heavy metal, it's awesome. But I'm not going to totally discount someone who only works with electronic music.
It doesn't go towards the electronic thing, but that's why Jimmy Page is God. Yeah, to me, Jimmy Page is just the greatest composer, as it were. You know what I mean? Technically not a great guitar player, but amazing. Sorry, George, you were jumping.
I was gonna say, did you see the fake Foo Fighters breakup video?
I saw it posted. I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's like a lot of their stuff. It's kind of a funny response to the rumors that they were breaking up, and in it, Dave Grohl is hanging out with Butch Vig and talking about how he needs to go solo. And Butch Vig is like, well, all you got to do is go over to the keyboard here, and you just hit this one key, and that's all you got to do, and then you just sing. And he's like, you mean like this? And and it's like boom dee dee boom dee dee boom dee dee. And so it's kind of funny.
Now, guys, what about those bands? The one thing I have to say, I don't like any electronic music because to me it's not music. To me, you guys said music to me is still playing an instrument. But the one thing I have to give the nod to the current technology and where it's going is it does allow that if I wanted to, it wouldn't sound good, but I don't know how to play guitar. I don't know how to play bass, drums, anything like that. I could purchase expensive software and I could build a band and write songs like that.
Yeah,
It's cool, I think, for some people who are limited. Maybe if you know they don't have a drummer, you know, if there's digital drum tracks that they are able to use and to fill in, you know, more power to them. But it's hard.
Yeah, I think the current software allows a lot more accessibility for people to, you know, get out there and sort of be creative, which I think is really great. On the other hand, you get a lot of crap that you have to sift through, but you know, just like we talked about Bandcamp already, but you know, you can go through, there's so many people that are able to make music. I mean, if you go 10 or 20 years ago, I mean, there's probably the same number of creative people, but so many of them just don't have access to instruments and recording equipment, and you know, that they have the ability to get their music out there now, and so that's really cool. You can hear stuff now that as long as you're willing to sift through the crap, that you probably would never have been able to do without the internet and without all this software that's available.
Right.
I was going to add, you know, to the conversation, we were talking about new technology and music production and accessibility. I saw this site the other day. I think it's called Hit Record, and it's like a Reddit combined with social media, and what you do is you make your own profile and you submit tracks. You say, I'm a guitarist, and then here's a little riff I made, and then it goes up there, and it's all survival of the fittest. People upvote and downvote different riffs and stuff, and then they have the option to collaborate with it if you let them. So someone will respond and say, I want to collaborate with you, and then you can say yes. And then they had a really cool demo for it where they showed a bunch of people around the world putting in percussion and vocals and different things, and it's kind of crazy to see. I mean, maybe only a narrow application of just kind of continuing the story of your song, but I think you're going to see a lot more crazy and innovative ways of making music in the future.
That sounds like the best way to make lowest common denominator shit music.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you're not. I could go on there wearing corpse paint and be like, and then somebody would like sing about
rap over it.
Yeah, they'd rap over it, and it would just be fucked.
Crowdsourced composition.
Wow,
Now,
man.
guys,
He took all that optimism and he just shoved it right back in your face, didn't he? He was like, this is amazing. He's like, it sucks. I feel like if we tried really hard, we could break this band up by the end of this interview.
Maybe we can get into a fist fight.
Yeah.
It'd be a funny
So
record.
I have to ask. I am a big Reddit guy. You know, you can come on there. I love the one meme on Reddit where they use the Mr. Burns from Simpsons. He's like, I bring you love. And he's like, he brings you love, break its legs. You know, that's Reddit. It's a horrible place. You post like cute little puppies and people will bash you, downvote you. Who had the the balls, I should say, to go on Reddit and to say, hey guys, we're Hoth. Here's our album Oathbreaker. Check it out. And the comments were overwhelmingly positive. But that was a big, you're taking a chance there.
Well, we use a combination of brainwashing and pseudo-psychological techniques in our music itself. But Eric can answer this.
Yeah. I figure, so after we recorded Oathbreaker, I figured, you know, it's like, you know, we poured ourselves into it, and I figure, you know, the music is going to speak for itself. We put it out there, people listen to it, and the music will speak for itself. So if people like it, it'll work. So I figured, you know, I wasn't going to try and you know, some sort of trickery to get people to listen to it. I was like, well, you know, I'm just going to put it here, and people can listen to it. You know, it wasn't. I just tried to keep it simple. Yeah. And it worked out. I don't know if it was just luck, if it was a fluke, but you know, people liked it, and that's super humbling to hear that after you spend all this time creating something that other people actually want to listen to it. So it was cool. It worked out.
Have you got any like vile hate comments or anything? And you're like, oh, a simple I don't like it would have worked.
Actually, not at all. I'm like, you know what? Someone like come at me, bro. Like, please Someone criticize us.
No, I mean, like, the worst that anybody's said is like, oh, it's kind of generic. Like, oh, you know, like, nobody's ever said it, like, straight up sucks. It's just people are like, I don't know, it's okay.
But
Like,
then you go to their
profile.
profile and see what they listen to, and it's all like Phil Anselmo and I Hate God, and I'm like, well, there you go. You don't like black metal. Bullshit. Like,
It was probably Lars. He was just like, that's so stock.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see because somebody who's on there many times a day. It was cool to see nothing but positivity flowing on your guys' posts there.
just wait until our next album. Then come.
Have you guys? I mentioned it. You said you don't know when it'll be out. It's out when it's out. Do you guys even have anything down on paper? Are you guys, maybe worried about your personal lives right now? Are you waiting? Is Hoth going to be put on the back burner right now because the Vision comes out on Tuesday? And I know I'm going to be playing a lot of that. What are you guys? Is Hoth is kind of in a holding pattern now?
No, it's slow and steady. I think that we have 3 partially recorded tracks right now for a new album.
We've got a lot of demos and ideas, and one of the things we do before we start even working on an album is we meet up and we have some beers and we outline it, and that way we kind of have a blueprint, at least a thematic blueprint. And so we've got that in place already, and yeah, there's a lot of demos coming and big aspirations for this album. Of course, every time we make an album, we want to do a bunch of things way better, like how we did from Infinite Darkness to Oathbreaker, and now from Oathbreaker to what's happening now, we want it even better. So, yeah, but it's not. Don't worry, it won't take 5 years.
Yeah, we're not gonna Yari this.
Or Tool it.
Yeah.
I am. Opeth is my favorite band. Their last couple albums, they have changed completely from what they were as a band. Will we see you guys making any big changes out of right field or anything? Is there anything you guys want to do?
I think that this next album will sort of be the natural progression from Oathbreaker in that sort of direction. I think that's how you could describe it. I don't think we're going to become all atmospheric prog rock all of a sudden, so you don't have to worry about that.
We have some listeners who are upset now at that statement, but
John is not pleased.
yeah, you know those prog guys. They're a passionate bunch,
And they're better than the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously listened to Oathbreaker 6,000 times, and when I listen to it, what stands out to me is there were some parts where we might have cut corners. Now, this is just me being extremely critiquing of it, but I think we want to have more of a tangential melodies where things just where the songs feel like they're going off in their own direction and they don't repeat themes too often, and when they do, it's maybe more planned and not forced.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I think on the new album we just want to have we want to have songs that are even more interesting to listen to, that don't have as much repetition. No verses and choruses rigid like it was.
Dude, as much as you may not have a formula, you got a formula, and you even if you don't know it. And I think that's a real natural thing to kind of start falling into your own little formula. I mean, like Opeth is a great example because there's 8 million refs in any given Opeth song.
Yeah,
but there's still a formula because you go in and you know what I mean. Well, for one thing, 5 records in, it can get a little dull. So it is. I think it's real hard to break your own natural tendencies.
But Jay, you just said something that I find really interesting about this Oathbreaker album is that just when you think you know what the album is, something else hits you. Like again, I was listening last night while playing Street Fighter. Great fighting music for the band. Great music. And when Acolyte came on, there were songs towards the end of it. And I'm like, man, this is like a different sound than I've heard on the album yet. You guys kept doing that track after track were little hints. So you guys, I say all this because next album, you guys have a huge, swath of sounds and to play with. Mm-hmm. You guys really aren't. You really haven't. Put yourself in a corner. Nobody puts Oath in a corner.
I think
I'm sorry.
We're also very big fans of Opeth, and one of the things I really like about Opeth is, and this sounds kind of cheesy, but I can listen to their music and I can close my eyes, and it has what I call musical imagery. For instance, like Watershed and Ghost Reveries, I can I get imagery like that. The music itself tells a story to me above and beyond the vocals and the lyrics.
There's a compositional narrative, and that was something that we consciously tried to work into Oathbreaker, and something that we want to do on our future releases as well. Like
Is
we
it
said,
Star Wars? Angry typing guy? Star Wars?
It's the hero's tragedy.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So that was something we did on Oathbreaker. That's something I want to do in the future on future stuff, and that's why I don't want to have much repetition on the album. I want it to feel like you're listening to it, but you're also experiencing a story, almost like a film. And
absolutely, I think that's a great term, compositional narrative. That's fabulous, because I think with the best music, and honestly, you can even do it with some of the really formulaic music. But if you kind of lay back and close your eyes and just do the kind of Carl Jung, active imagination thing, you're going to get a story,
Totally.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. So that's really cool that you guys, that's part of your focus, is to let that kind of happen as you're playing. That's good stuff.
Like a lot of metal bands are like, get ready for 45 minutes of brutal punishment, and then it's like all the same drone of, you know what I mean? Like, we could do that, and we do that sometimes, but yeah, I think metal as a genre is often gets boxed as being just monotone brutality, and it's really it's really fairly evolved, and it's got all these things from jazz and classical music put together, and I mean, maybe Eric and I are delusional, but we view it as a pretty high form of art and expression.
Of course.
You're preaching to the choir over here for sure, all of us.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been told this. For me, I have mentioned on the pod many times, I am not the biggest black metal guy. I'm more of a death metal guy. George is black metal himself.
I'm everything.
But you have more so black metal now. George just comes and goes. He's waves.
And George definitely looks the most grim and frostbitten out of all of you. So
that's why he said so little too. He can't break that. We got to keep that kind of silent, scary thing going.
I've black metal, not to throw any band under the bus, but to me, black metal was always, and George, like we've said before, George will say that's early black metal. It's not like that anymore. It's the boring blast beats. They go into the growling. I can't stand it. It bores the fuck out of me.
But he loves the new Death Heaven.
is there? Yeah, of course.
Guys, yes, that's a great question. These guys are perfect to ask. Have you guys, as a black metal band, have you heard Death Heaven, and what's your thoughts on them?
I have listened.
Okay.
It's not bad, but it's not my thing.
Okay.
Can I say it's hipster black metal?
Yeah.
Of course you can. Of course you can. They're pretty.
I think there's a lot of music coming up right now that's heavy or hard sounding, but it's not and it's not metal. And I'm not talking about Death Heaven. I'm talking about like I group Death Heaven and these other genres together. Eric and I call it, there's this other genre, and Eric and I call it vest metal. It's like all the
doom stoner,
Red Fang, Black Tusk, the Portland, San Francisco, Denver bands. And like, we just drink beer to have a good time, and then we kind of riff. And a lot of this is, just check out these minor pentatonic scales, and then there's all these people that are like, you guys have a metal band? Well, I'm into metal, like Red Fang and Kvelertak.
There is a hipster. There's this weird hipster thing that happened where they've claimed, in some cases, some legit bands, but also like Sleep. Sleep is Sleep. They play here all the time. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in Berkeley.
He says almost half admittingly, like,
no, because the scene here is fucked now, dude. And believe me, my band here is like, we're looked at funny. We're kind of more of a new wave of British heavy metal, kind of thrashy. And trust me, that thing ain't happening here right now. But all I mean to say is, there's the hipsters. Just, it's hard to go to a Sleep show. I don't like going to, because they'll also latch onto some pretty good bands. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, dude. And we talked about this a lot when Lemmy died, because Lemmy was one of these guys that became an icon that kind of
transcended music.
Yeah, and so it was okay for like a lot of people like that to be like, yeah, Lemmy's a badass, even though they never heard of anything but Ace of Spades. And we have this kind of whole thing, which is like, get off our fucking porch, dude. You know what I mean? Like, we put in the time, and we all really care about this stuff, and we really understand the ins and the outs of it, to the point where, I know why Tom G. Warrior is an important motherfucker.
Yeah.
Get off my fucking porch! You know, no, I just can't take it, dude.
I think a lot of people can't quantify why hipsters are so infuriating when they encroach on their own territory, and I think I've put a lot of thought into this. Eric and I talk about this kind of stuff.
But you're in an indie rock band, aren't you labeled a hipster when you play in that band all the time?
Probably.
Okay, Eric, is he wearing his keys on a carabiner right now?
Well, yeah, he always loses his keys. I don't even know what they are.
I don't know where they are.
I want to hear this point. He was getting ready to nail some shit.
So I think hipsters are infuriating because they do things, they're disingenuous and they do things for social reasons. And so there's all these people just tragically hip at a sleep show or like getting really into Red Fang, and then they start kind of lumping themselves in with the metal crowd, and we're like, bro, posers and wimps need to leave the hall. Sorry. You're going to be crushed with nuclear drums if you stick around any longer.
You saying this is hipster now? The sunbather? This is hipster?
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean,
no, you don't have to. Buke is not a fan. He buys the records because it's just like this thing happening in metal now.
Yeah.
But and not to speak for Buke, but trust me, everything you're saying is resonant with all of us.
Yeah.
But guys, as a band playing a form of music right now, that black metal is almost seeing this second breath. It seems like like a second life. It's really coming to the forefront. It seems, and it seems like the trends in black metal are more so than any other form of metal. George, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but you remember like when the symphonic black metal by Dimmu was popular, you saw a couple copies of Dimmu popping up.
A couple?
Yeah.
A lot. Anytime
Exactly.
anybody does something new that sounds different or it's innovative. I mean, Ghost is a great example. Ghost probably sparked a lot of this retro stoner stuff in a sense because people were like, oh, hey, that's kind of popular. And so, the labels are all scrambling to find people that sound like that. It's just like, Seattle there. When Nirvana hit, everybody moved to Seattle and all the labels went to Seattle. And the next thing you know, this thing that was new and cool is now annoying because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Well, so on the next album, don't go hipster on us, boys, please.
We might do an April Fool's Day joke.
Yes.
We actually, that might be a good time to unveil something. We do a lot of joke music too, and I'm pretty sure I've made fun of every genre that I've complained about today. So I've made like the wind chimes, all electronic, ducking, backbeat, cut up vocal stuff, and I think I posted it on SoundCloud for like 2 days, and I was like, stop fucking doing this. And then after a while, I was like, man, I'm this old and I still have to tell people what music sucks. Like I should just go. I should just start having fun.
That's good.
But we've also made some vest metal.
Okay, but guys, do you get any flack from other bands? Like, hey, leave us alone. Stop messing with us.
I'm sure we
Well,
would.
we're gonna get all sorts of angry emails after you air this.
Hey,
You're
you guys
assuming we have a listenership there.
You're only big
We
in
do.
Hungary right now, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Hungary.
Actually, we have some listeners in Hungary.
Yeah,
And we're going to help you break into Lithuania too. So get ready, boys.
boys, we're having a great time listening. I wanted to remind our listeners again, we're talking to Hoth, their album Oathbreaker. You can get it on Bandcamp right now. We all recommend it, going out and picking it up. We wanted to intro our first track we're going to play from you guys right now. The first track we're going to play is the song Serpentine Whispers. You want to tell us a little bit about that one, boys?
It's track number 4?
3, 4, yeah.
4? Yeah, something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
Four. It's okay. You're in the band. You can change it up as much as you want.
So this was I think, was this the third track we recorded for the album? Yeah, we definitely didn't record the album in the order. The first track we did was Acolyte. That was the first track that we recorded. So I think this was the third one we recorded for the album. And from the beginning, it was kind of like we wanted to have we've got this choral bit that we recorded in the middle. And that was sort of from the beginning kind of our focal piece. We were like, hey, let's so the rest of the song was kind of built around that bit in the middle of the song there. So that was sort of the genesis of that song. And I think it turned out pretty well. It's kind of fun. I think that I hope that when people start listening to the song and they get to that portion, their ears kind of perk up and they're like, oh, what's this?
Yep.
So that
it did to mine. Yep.
It's definitely one of the more accessible songs on the album, and it's pretty straightforward, and it's a good tune.
So, yeah.
Perfect summation, dude.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
Don't move an inch, bro. You're beautiful the way you are.
Fun fact: the choral bit's in Latin.
Yeah.
It's a good dude.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I wanted to ask you guys that. Who was it? That friend of yours, the one singing in Latin? In yours, Eric?
We both sang that part actually. 30 of us. 15 of me and just kidding. It was 30 of me and one of Eric. No, but
He just mixed me out.
yeah, I mixed him out. I did it to the bass player.
Right, listen close. There you are, right there. You don't hear it?
Yeah, so we actually sang that part together, and Eric is the linguist. So
Yeah, so
we got pianist and linguist in the same interview. Woo! This is getting dirty.
So I studied Latin because I thought it was going to be super useful, and it turned out it did because I wrote 2 lines for a song later.
Nailed it.
But so I studied Latin at university, and so I was like, hey, well, Latin's cool, so let's write some lyrics. So that's what I did. It's probably the only time I ever used Latin after school. So glad it got some use.
Hey, you have more albums on the horizon. Don't say the only time, okay?
Yep.
So here we go. This is Serpentine Whispers.
Dark magic, dark desire, unnatural power. See the dead, stop the dying.
All right. That was Serpentine Whispers from Hoth from their album Oathbreaker. Pick it up on Bandcamp today.
We've been lucky lately, man. I mean, not only have we, I think we're all just pleased with the way the interviews are going, but last few bands, really fucking nice guys. And Hoth guys, they're super nice, super bright, very bright guys, brighter than your average metal band. Yeah, exactly. Nice
Thank you.
guys.
Just say it right now. Thank you, Buke.
Yeah, thank you, Buke.
Thank you, Buke.
Buke also picked up the guy that's going to be on our next episode, but you'll have to wait to find out who that is.
And were you the one who pulled Pile of Priests too, Buke?
No, that was me.
Who are coming to Oakland, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll be there.
I told them to get a hold of you, and they said they would.
Yeah, I'll reach out to them. I didn't even see. Do you happen to notice when the date was on that, George?
I think it was April 19th.
Okay. Yeah, I promise you I will touch base with those guys for sure. I'll buy them a beer or something.
Sweet.
Put a little gas in their van.
Yeah, man, get a picture with them. We can,
We'll do.
Right on. Why don't we get into the news? So I've been, over the past week or so, trying to convince Jay that the new Anthrax album is awesome. We're still working on it.
I finally gave up and admitted it's pretty fucking great. Well, let's talk about it for a second, because we went back and forth. I think George had the same experience as me. I think you said you did, which was first listen, I was like, okay, I hear what they're doing here, but I'm not sure if I'm okay with it.
Yep.
And then the next listen, I was like, oh, that was pretty catchy. That one's cool, isn't it? It's kind of like an enslaved record for me. And what I mean is every enslaved record ever, first listen, I'm like, this is going to be some work. And then 3 listens in, it's like a great record. Cut to the now. I'm really into the new Anthrax record. It's really well done.
Yep. We're still trying to get Buke on board. He's shaking his head. He's like, When we went to the record store yesterday, I did a preemptive convincing Buke, which we're going to do a little later, to no avail. But anyway, this first news item, after he'd listened to the album a little while, Jay was like, "Hey man, have you seen the video for Blood Eagle Wings?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. I'll check that out." And I'm just like, okay, it's a video, whatever. But then I watched it, and holy fuck, this video is really fucked up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, Blood Eagle, right. I seem to recall something about that in my Norse mythology readings of yesteryear. That the Blood Eagle is where it's a torture and / execution where they take the unfortunate soul in question, they lay them down on their chest, they cut open their back, and they sever the rib cage from the spine, and then they pull the ribs out the back and basically bend them back so that they look like these bloody wings coming out of the back, and then they reach into the hole and pull the lungs out and flop them over your shoulder, and you're still alive for all this, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, and the video, they do it.
Yeah, it is all done in graphic detail, and before they even get to this part, there's people with their heads lopped off and
it's a torture
stabbed.
video.
It's snuff porn.
Did you watch all the way to the end, George, to see the little cameos at the end?
Yes. At the very end, Brian Posehn, he's like, what did he say? He was like, well, that was extreme.
Was brutal. Yeah,
that was brutal.
And did you know, the other guy I think is Brendan Small.
Oh, was it? Okay, see, I don't know him by sight.
Yeah. I had only watched it myself because, I don't know. I mean, there's just, people don't really put money into videos that much anymore. So even if you see one from a band you like, you're not necessarily prone to push play. But people were talking about this on Twitter, up to and including I think the one that finally made me go look at it was Kirk Hammett. Was like, holy shit, the new Anthrax video is insane, So I highly recommend it. People, it's definitely for horror movie fans should watch it.
Yeah,
it's also just really atmospheric. I like the Skull King, thing. It's good. It's a good video.
It really kind of completed the song for me. Uh-huh. I mean, I've listened to the song half a dozen times already, and I liked it. But putting it in this context and just watching while listening to it, it sort of rocketed up to my favorite song on the album right now.
Yeah.
So also in Anthrax-related news, in the first week of sales, they were projected to do 20 to 30,000 copies. Just not bad.
Not bad for this day and age. Good for them.
I wonder where that placed it on Billboard.
Yes, we shall. I feel sure we'll find that out quite quick here. like tomorrow or something. I'm not sure when the week begins and ends with Billboard, but it's got to be pretty high. That's like a lot of records for today, as you know.
It is.
So as a touring musician, Dave Lombardo has joined Suicidal Tendencies somewhat temporarily, I assume. He's touring with them for a tour they've got booked with another pretty big metal band. I can't remember who it was. So
Not that big then.
Yeah. I just can't remember the story, but they, but interesting to see. First of all, Dave's got to earn a paycheck.
Yeah.
So there you go. I like Suicidal Tendencies. I like the modern incarnation of them. As a matter of fact, I don't know that they're going to put out a record I care about, but I saw them a couple years ago with, I think it was with either Machine Head or it was Heaven and Hell. It was like Heaven, Hell, Machine Head, and Suicidal Tendencies or something. I can't remember. It was weird.
Yeah, I've never seen them. I'd like to see them.
You know, they were great. They were fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just a weird. So anyway, good for Dave. He's got a little, paycheck coming in, and that's also a band I happen to like. So I think I'll go out of my way to see them if they come through.
Sweet. So Leif Edling of Candlemass has a new project that he's, I don't know if he's working on or if it's getting ready to come out. I didn't quite get that out of the article, but the project is called The Doomsday Kingdom. So it sounds like more happy stuff from Leif.
There's a little sound, you can hear some of it too. There's a video in the news story, and it's there are vocals on it now that I think about it. It's good. It sounds like it's a slightly more retro Doom than he's been doing lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it sounded wicked and heavy and just insanely good. Actually, I'll be looking forward to this one.
He said it was stuff that got him through like a really depressing time, so I expect it'll be pretty depressive.
Yeah, pretty dark stuff.
Speaking of depressing, dark, doomy stuff, apparently Obsessed are back and working on a new album.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah,
Why not, right?
As far as I know, based
Wino?
on what I read, he's like the only person. It's just like Wino and then like some new people. So,
is that right? Okay.
So
He just went through some meth withdrawal phase or something. I don't know if you remember that. He was doing some shows. And it might have been with St. Vitus.
yeah, well, didn't he like get arrested or deported
like-
from Russia or something for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, not exactly. I don't remember the exact details, but it was something like that. So good for him. I mean, that fucker, he's got to be pretty old now.
Yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
be.
So we'll see. And I have to be perfectly upfront and say not the hugest fan. I know Wino stuff. I tried out various bits and pieces, and some of it I like and some of it I don't. But I should think some people out there will be interested to hear that.
Excellent. So the band Tokyo Blade is reuniting their Night of the Blade lineup for some European shows. And it's kind of funny that this just came up because when Buke and I were in the car yesterday, he got his first taste of Tokyo Blade.
Yeah, we started Spotify, and that's why I like these streaming music services for when you can type in one name and fall down the rabbit hole to all these obscure bands.
What did you think? Did you like? Well,
The vocals were amazing. It's that early thrash sound.
Yeah.
When a lot of it's cookie cutter, but this Tokyo Blade, the vocals were really cool.
Night of the Blade. My hand to God, I'm not making this up. I was on a family vacation and we were driving like to Florida or something. We stopped in Atlanta for some reason. And anyway, I think for a couple of days, and I had the occasion to go into a record store in Atlanta, and I bought Ride the Lightning, Manowar's Into Glory Ride, and just trying at a random throw at the wall, I bought Tokyo Blade, Night of the Blade. And liked them all, but I was pretty obsessed with that record for a while. It's a great record. Like, you really need to listen to that one from start to finish.
Hell yeah.
I love how you guys remember these things because, like I was telling George, I made the comment, I don't know how many guys my age and younger are diving real deep, finding Tokyo Blade. Because you gotta, you can't just scratch the surface on Spotify to find it. You really gotta do some deep.
You gotta look hard,
digging.
yeah.
But it's really cool stuff.
That record is like a mix. It's sort of like, it's kind of maiden-y in place. It's definitely new wave of British heavy metal stuff. But then it's also got just a couple of like almost Def Leppard-y kind of power ballady type things. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, they don't sound like Def Leppard in any real way. But there's some songs in there, like a song called Samurai. The song Night of the Blade is amazing. It's just a fucking kick-ass record. So this by the way, the reunion is Europe exclusive, but
yeah, that's too bad. But so when we were in the car yesterday, basically on Spotify, I was like, hey, play some Omen, play some Attacker, play some Warlord, and Buke was just like giddy. He was all like, "This is awesome!" And I played him some Samson, and I was like, and he was like He had gone into the store and I queued it up, and when he came back into the car, I started playing it, and he's like, "Huh?" He's like, "That guy sounds familiar." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what's he sound like?" And he's like, "Sounds kind of like early Bruce Dickinson." I was like, "Well, that's because it is early Bruce Dickinson."
Though his name in Samson was Bruce.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Bruce.
It was one of the things Rod Smallwood, when he joined Iron Maiden, there's a famous story on the old documentary vid. And he says he joined the band, and he said two things. He said, first of all, you got to change your name from Bruce. What's your real name? Because that's a stupid fucking name. And the other thing was, he said he gave him $100 and told him, go buy a fucking leather jacket.
Nice.
Yeah, so George showed me that memory lane last night, and it was fun. It's cool, you know. You just start going to one band, and you're like, "Hey, what's related? You know."
Yep.
Just that somebody broached the subject with KK Downing recently in an interview. He's been doing it. He actually does a lot of not necessarily social media stuff, but he's been doing this series of videos lately that for some reason have been popping into my view, where he's talking about his guitars and stuff like that, and
his cologne.
That's correct. He does talk about that, and somebody in a sort of brief interview with him asked him, what would his thoughts be on ever playing with Judas Priest again? And up until now, he's just said things like, I'm done. But suddenly, he's sort of saying, yeah, I'd be open to that. And, it would be a great experience. I love the guys, so on and so forth. But let's call this a pre story. I usually when people go back, this is how it starts.
Right.
So we'll see. And I mean, Judas Priest, if you ask me, there's not much gas left in that tank anyway. But KK was such a sort of important and visual part of that band that I would like to see him. They should end with him being there.
Yeah.
So I guess there's hope for that if it's something you hope for. Yeah, the next news story, I ran into a story online from RollingStone.com that I think was in my Facebook feed, and it was just this rather lengthy story they did about the 30-year anniversary of Master of Puppets. And I started reading it, and I was like, oh, what the hell? Rolling Stone is pretty lame. And it turned it out, again, to say really long. And it was so interesting, totally worth reading. It's just this behind the scenes. And it's just, I guess it helps if you were a fan back then, because it reminds you of what was going on and how they were and how the record came about. A totally worthwhile read. And that's about the best I can say. I assume it's in the print magazine as well.
I have to check that out. I'd like to read that.
I know you'd like it, George, a lot. I know you'd like it.
So it's funny that I actually saw Slayer last night, because I put this on the script a couple days ago. Apparently, Kerry King said that Metallica and Iron Maiden are living on past success.
And Slayer isn't?
And what about you, Kerry? What about you?
Yeah. And Slayer, geez, come on. What about you?
Yeah, sometimes Kerry King needs to just zip.
I think so. Because, Iron Maiden's catalog is so much deeper and more profound than Slayer's, and I love Slayer, but they have less records that are deeply meaningful to me than Iron Maiden does.
True.
And they're still making records, so say what you want, Kerry, and it doesn't even matter if you don't like them. That living off of your past is simply giving up on making records and doing retro tours, which is what Maiden refuses to do.
Yeah.
So, and Slayer arguably has been doing for the last, since whenever World Painted Blood came out.
Yeah.
And how often are they doing records? Every 5 years at best now.
Yeah. They're almost on a Metallica. Well, Metallica used to be on a 5-year schedule. Now they're on every 8 to 10 year schedule.
Yeah. But you know what, Kerry? Just shut up, dude.
Shut up, Kerry. Just play your damn guitar.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking about Gary, did he use his blood guitar last night?
I didn't notice. I forgot all about that.
Did we talk about the blood guitar a little bit on the show?
We did, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it was or not. Yeah. Anyway. Last new release, Avatar is getting ready to release their new album, Feathers and Flesh, on May 13th. A lot of people may not care, but I'm kind of curious about it. I kind of liked their last album, Hail the Apocalypse. It was kind of cool, kind of commercial, but whatever, sometimes.
I don't know them, George. Is this an old school band that is releasing music now, or are they
No, they're... I forget where they're from.
The name kind of rings a bell, but I got nothing to go on.
Avatar's a Swedish band. Their first album came out in 2006. Their last album came out in 2014.
Okay.
And they get lumped in Slipknot kind of stuff because they're heavy, and I think they sound good, but they also play, much like Slipknot, on like tours and festivals that aren't exactly metal. They're a little more new metal or something.
Okay.
So
They're being lumped in with the wrong crowd, in other words.
well, I mean, technically no. I just think of that crowd, they're actually kind of okay.
Okay. I'll buy that.
So anyway, that's coming out. I haven't heard anything from it yet, so I can't comment, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's move on to new releases.
This week's new releases, here they are. Spend your hard-earned money now.
Let's call it new release this week.
Exactly. There's only one, and there's only one person to talk about this one.
I like how you say that oh, there's only one. Like, you guys aren't going to listen.
There can be only one.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to listen, and I have no problem saying that. This is the new release from Killswitch Engage, Incarnate.
Have you heard it? Have they played anything off it yet?
They have played the first single off of it. That's all I've heard.
How bad is it? Just kidding.
Jesse is back in the band. This band, for me, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, are one of my favorite bands. Call them metalcore, call them shit, call them crap, call them whatever you want to call them. They've been one of my favorite bands. Very accessible, but I think they're one of the best bands doing what they do today. So I am looking forward to this. Their last album was a little too much commercial with Jesse back, because their first self-titled with him was, my God, I've listened to it. Made my list of top albums of the last 15 years.
Yeah.
This is a really uninformed question, Duke, or it shows how uninformed I am. But are they still big? I mean, like, are they pulling people? Are they?
Yep, they still were. They're still one of the big bands, still doing big tours.
Okay, all right.
They're almost kind of like. I know it's not metal, but this is a good example to prove my point. Like Seven Dust.
Okay.
When you're like, what do those guys have to do anymore? Like, what have they done recently? But they still continue to.
They got a following. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
They can fill a place, and that.
Yep.
And hey, and more power to them. You know, I mean, keep their career going and make their house payments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no problems with me on this. I'm looking forward to it. George and I can go round and round about these guys, and. George doesn't like them. I love them. But
I don't really have anything against them. They just don't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that don't do anything for people, why don't we do something we haven't done in a while, and that's try to convince Buke.
Convincing Buke is really fucking hard.
let's battle, boys.
Battle Royale.
So, when the Anthrax album first came out, it took me a little while to get into, but before too long, by my third listen through, I fucking loved it. And as Jay, I think, already mentioned, as you did mention, as Jay already mentioned, he now feels the same way. So 2 out of 3 metalheads agree that the new Anthrax album is fucking awesome.
So, and I was really cautious about it, like I kind of didn't, I have to be honest with you, I kind of didn't like it at first. I was like, eh. So here's my best advice, my best sales pitch, I should say, which is you really do kind of forget what you know and love about Anthrax. As lame as that sounds.
With a band with as many albums as they have, with the history that they have, you just can't do that.
Well, but but there's a follow-up to that, which is, it is clearly Anthrax, so it's not that. It's not like they sound like 110% different band.
It sounds a lot more like Anthrax than Sound of White Noise did. Sorry,
exactly.
Greg.
All that's, yeah. Sorry, Greg. Oh, Greg got dissed. Yeah, but I think once you kind of settle into it, Buke, you'll realize it's a totally Anthrax record.
It is.
It's just not, as you're walking close to it, it's like from a distance, your eyes are a little blurry, you don't quite get it. But once you're standing right next to the thing, like really, dude, it is interspersed with some classic Anthrax riffing.
Joey sings his balls off.
You liked Joey sings his balls off.
But the thing is, in the end, was the minority of last album.
But you loved it, didn't you?
In the end,
was the best song on the album.
What?
I thought you loved it.
In the End is a good song. In the End is not the best song on the album.
That's not what you told me once.
No, the best song on the whole album is The Devil You Know. Or Fight 'Em Till...
we both go meh at the same time.
Hell on Earth, The Devil You Know, Fight 'Em Till You Can't.
I like Fight 'Em Till You Can't more than Devil You Know.
I think we can get you into this record, though, Buke. I think.
But
Anthrax,
on worship music, all the songs like like Anthrax.
Yeah, but not all songs have to be fast. You like stuff that's not fast.
But that's
So why you can't hold them to a standard of what they have to be all the time.
But I like Anthrax.
So this is Anthrax.
But I also think, Buke, that this record is deceiving you in a way, because I think it's faster than you realize.
There is some pretty fast stuff on there. It's just, you went through it once. We all went through it once and we weren't sure and didn't think we liked it. You really need to go through it 2 more times.
I agree.
2 more times. And if you honestly go through it 2 more times and still don't like it, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry, Judge, go ahead.
Yesterday, I made, usually we give him a couple songs to listen to. Yesterday, I made him listen to Monster at the End, Blood Eagle Wings.
I want to throw Suzerain in there. He should be listening to that.
Yeah, Defend Avenge. And Evil Twin is also really good and fast. And Suzerain is fast.
But guys, this is a thrash band.
I think this is a thrash band.
They play... Jay, you're crazy.
I'm not fucking with you.
You are ridiculous.
Wait. So the youngster's going to tell the guys from the thrash era what thrash is?
No, I'm not saying that. George was trying to say early on, like the first... I'm putting it up here on Encyclopedia Metalum. George was saying that the first tracks, like You Gotta Believe and Mods... What did you play first, George?
First song I played you was Blood Eagle Wings, actually.
Okay, I was listening to it again last night when I was playing.
Yeah.
You Gotta Believe and then Monster at the End were just boring. They're just slow.
Monster at the End is one of my favorite songs. It's got such a killer chorus.
You know what this record is, Buke? I'm going to put it, and maybe this will be one thing that'll help you approach it. But you are basically describing Injustice for All right now. That's not a thrash record.
Isn't that your favorite Metallica album?
It is.
Well, fuck you. You can't like that because it's not thrash.
And they've kind of made a similar transition here, but with Bruce Dickinson fucking singing, I
just thought of it. I think why my not instant connection, where that comes from right now, is worship music. I think with this album, the songs aren't catchy off the start. At least for me personally.
No, that's why you have to go the third. It's a definite grower. By the third time through, you are familiar enough with it that the hooks become apparent. And then once they've got those hooks in you, they're there.
Now, worship music, can you guys give me that? It was catchy right from the start.
Immediately.
Not the whole album, though. When I listened to it the first time, I go, this is a good record. But it took repeat listens for something like In the End or some of the other songs to grow on me, even though I knew it was a good album.
And partially because it's not that they're not hooky in the way, and I don't even mean like the quality, but in the same way that Anthrax maybe previously was on worship music. And I do agree with you, Buke. Worship music hit me right off the bat. I was just like, holy fucking shit, what the hell? Anthrax is back. This one is I think it was a ballsy move after worship music.
Yeah.
Because they could have just come out and tried to do Cotton Mosh over and over and over and shit like that.
But they've evolved.
You know what? Somebody here on Encyclopedia Metalum, given a review, Morbert, says For All Kings is a lot more cohesive than Worship was. Worship was mostly written in a period when Anthrax was clearly unsure of who they actually were or planned to become, and the album sounded like it. A mixed bag. Honestly, only a handful of standout songs that stood the test of time, like Fight 'Em, I'm Alive, and In the End. For All Kings has more in common with the principal idea behind spreading the disease when it comes to combining fast material with more slower and melodic material.
And you know what else I just remembered? Worship music was not written for Joey. It was written for the other guy.
Yeah, they got it.
This is really the first album written with Joey in mind.
So this is an accurate note, I think.
Where's this from, Jay?
Editor's notes on the description of the album on iTunes. For All Kings feels like a gushing love letter to the days of classic heavy metal when teenage headbangers carved Iron Maiden into their school desks. There's certainly plenty of scowling thrash to be found on You Gotta Believe in Evil Twin, yet the band nimbly counterbalances snarling aggression with Joey Belladonna's soaring vocals and the dizzyingly melodic fretwork of Scott and the new guy. When Anthrax launched into All Them Thieves, it doesn't feel like a song so much as a triumphant march to the top of the mountain. And it's that first sentence though. I really feel like this is everything they love about heavy metal across the board.
Yep.
And it works.
Do you think this does me a disservice that worship music, while I had the Anthrax catalog already, worship music is when I really dove into the band?
No, because I think a lot of
because
us,
you guys have a history with Anthrax.
but it's a love-hate history, in all honesty. Like, I have to tell you, all their records are kind of jumping around, in places. And I say it is love-hate for me because, like, Among the Living is a great record, but if you go back and look to it, it's not produced that well. They're making better records now, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the old stuff is classic, but the production is just horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never really liked, until worship music, I really never liked the production on any of the albums.
It didn't reach the quality of the records or the quality of the writing. So even though what you say is true, Buke, I had most of the Anthrax records minus the John Bush era. I had all of them, but and like the summer, Among the Living came out the year that Master of Puppets did, and I spent like the whole summer just listening to those two records.
Mm-hmm.
But then Anthrax kind of lost the plot a little bit after that, slowly,
I like State of Euphoria. It's got some cool songs on there.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good follow-up.
And even Persistence of Time.
I just think they're a more fully realized band now.
Yeah, I think For All Kings, it's the completed evolution. The butterfly has fully left the cocoon now and spread its wings, and it is glorious.
And they completely cut Joey loose on this one.
Yeah,
it's
Sings
the fucking Joey
his balls
show.
off. If you've seen Joey's balls, please call 555 Joey's balls.
But guys, I like the more thrashy, catchy Anthrax.
Yeah,
but it's in there.
I think I really think, Buke, you need to give it three full listens from this point forward.
Again, I will talk about this during vinyl. But again, my hard-earned money. I have my 2-year-old right here. I trust you boys, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I need to go pick it up myself.
I trust you guys so much. This is the vinyl, okay?
It's pretty. My contribution to convincing Buke, short of the things we've said already, is I'd really like to see you give it 3 listens, and they don't all have to be consecutive or the next day or whatever. But I was unsure as late as listen 3. Listen 4, I was like, okay, I'm starting to get this. And listen 5, I was like, this is fucking awesome, dude.
But my point that I first brought up when I sent that GIF of that deflating mascot.
Yes.
On coming off of worship music, on first listen.
Yeah, you were shocked.
Yes. And then
I don't blame.
you guys give me that. The first listen, it was kind of a letdown, right?
Sure,
Yep.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
And that's why you should believe us, because we felt the same way. And if we feel that if you give it more time, you'll come to you'll be brainwashed like we are.
Well, let's put it this way. You've been, the last Anthrax experience you have is cramming worship music into your ears, rightfully so. So it's just like, running somewhere or doing something or watching a scary movie or something. When you switch gears, the next thing you watch is like, you're a little desensitized to it or something, or you're expecting something else. I said that really poorly, except to say you got to let this record tell you its own story. You can't.
George gave this album, though, the death sentence last night, heading to the record store.
Do tell.
Album of the year so far.
Okay.
I didn't. I didn't say that. I said top 10.
He said top 10.
It'll be in my list.
It'll be on my list. That's about all I can really say. Because after I said that, I did realize there are a lot of really cool albums coming out this year. So maybe not top 10, but maybe.
Well, I mean, I've got 3 records right now that I know are on my list. With all due respect to what's coming out, and they could knock all 3 off, and Anthrax is one of them, without question. I mean, it's one of the records I'm spinning right now and spinning over and over.
So submit to our will.
Well,
and I don't mean will. I mean our will.
Submit to our will. I think we both agree that it was a grower and that you're going to have to invest in it. But if you do, you might be very, very pleased.
But guys, do you like that with an album? Do you like where an album has to be an investment?
Sometimes, because sometimes, and not exclusively or always so, those are the ones that are the richer experience.
Ahab. Can I say that? Ahab?
No, that's perfect.
Ahab was a definite grower.
And once you're there, once you're in the world of that album, in a lot of cases, you're like, fuck. And I think it's because it's more complex than just, they put some thought into it,
Okay.
It doesn't always work that way.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. Next time we'll talk to Buke and see if he's changed his mind at all. All right, let's do our top 3.
What's your top 3?
This time, when Buke and I were in the car yesterday, we were racking our brain going, man, we got to, it's the day before the podcast. We got to come up with the top 3. And Buke rattled off a whole bunch of band names, and one of those was Voivod. And I was like, can you do top 3 Voivod? And he's like, yeah, I can do top 3 Voivod. So we're like, Jay, can you do top 3 Voivod? And Jay's like, sure. So here we are. This is our top 3 Voivod albums.
The album's good. Whew, because I got a little nervous after I made my list, and I was like, I should have asked if this was songs, but of course it's albums.
Now, can I please ask listeners' help? We are now 45 episodes in. Please help us. If there's a top 3 you want to hear, suggest one. Reach out on Twitter at Metalheads Pod, at Disciple OV Metal, at Opeth Fan, at Catatonic J, on our Facebook. Reach out to us.
We're having a hell of a time coming up with them.
Share your suggestions because we have so many episodes we can't think. And honestly, like George and I said yesterday, there's a bunch of bands we can mention. And after the initial 3, you're like, what else is there? There's not even much to pick from.
Yeah, if a band has 4 or 5 albums, what's the point of doing top 3?
Yeah, and it's not that we like doing them. It's fun to make lists. That's what loving a thing is all about sometimes. But yeah, we're running out of ideas, so help us out.
Yep. All right, well, let's get into this one. Jay?
I feel like I'm going to disappoint you, like George. I'm almost sure of it. And
all right, well, I'll give you my disappointed look now.
I was so concerned that I would. I was like, he's going to think these are the 3 stupidest fucking choices. But be that as it may, they are the ones that I like the most. And this one I think might be the most shocking of the 3. And it is the self-titled debut, even though he went on, I think, only to do one more with them, that they did with Jason Newsted, the just Voivod self-titled album. And I love that record. I was really obsessed with it when it came out. Played it over and over and over. So that's my number 3.
Jay, I'm so disappointed in you. No, that's fine. That's cool. Yeah. It's a good album.
Luke.
My number 3, maybe George's number 1, Killing Technology. Just one of the first ones I think George started with. It's not the first one, but the first side that would make up the tape, Killing Technology, Overreaction, Tornado, killer.
Fucking great, yeah.
Buke, I'm so disappointed in you.
Let's just get a little soundbite going.
No, actually, we are on the same page there. My number 3 is Killing Technology.
Oh, nice. George, George puts up his poker face when we do these top 3 lists.
Oh, yeah, he does. He just fucking makes it painful for you. Well, that stated, I feel a little better about myself because my number 2 is Killing Technology.
Okay, Jay. I'm not disappointed anymore.
Things are coming back around here. And I'm wondering if my number 1's going to at least make it somewhere on one of your lists because it is a great record. So we'll see. So, Killing Technology, number 2.
All right. Buke, number 2.
Number 2, I'm pulling it up here on my list. Dimension Hatros.
Hatros. Actually, I don't know if that's right either. I've always called it Hatros.
Experiment, Tribal Convictions, Brain Scan, Psychic Vacuum.
Yeah, that was battling me for my number 3. I was like, I kind of like erased it, and I was like, Killing Technology, and I was like, wait, no, Dimension. Wait, no, Killing Technology. So I went with Killing Technology. But my number 2, some people probably won't agree with this. I have a feeling that Godless will probably agree with me here, except it might be his number 1. But Angel Rat is my number 2.
That's a divisive record for them. A lot of people don't know where to put it.
It's probably their most commercially accessible album, but it's really good. I mean, it's just so good. I love it. I love that album.
Okay, so here's the weird thing. I was like one step out of line with Buke through this list, and my number 1 is Dimension Hatros.
Okay, then. It's a good choice. I still allow you to retain my non-disappointment.
Well, I felt the reason I was worried about that because I'm not sure what you will have chosen. I guess we'll find out soon enough. But the true lovers of this band are going to be throwing things like Angel Rat and Nothing Face Out and stuff like that. That, as I say, the true lovers of this band. I don't dislike them. I like them a lot, but I'm more inclined to just choose their more sort of metal shit. Dude, what's your number 1? Yeah, you know what I mean. So,
Mike has come up on the pod here before. Not the band, but the album Nothing Face.
There it is.
Yep. This was my first introduction to George, and I guess that plays a part into it because George, took my hand.
Yeah.
This is what we started with. So.
Yeah, and that's my number 1 as well. Nothing Face.
Well, at the end of that story, I assumed it would be. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Nothing Face is actually one of my all-time favorite metal albums. I would probably place it in a top 10. Not that we're ever going to be crazy enough to do that. But just that album has so much meaning to me that, the music alone, aside from the music, just the importance in my personal life to this album cannot be understated.
Doing some research for this list, George, a lot of people still, it seems, don't get Voivod.
Yeah.
No, of course not.
I think you're right.
Why do you think that is? They're not doing anything crazy.
No, I think it's partially the vocals. I got to be blunt, personally. But George, you speak on it.
Well, to reference one of my albums from last time, from Ludacris, most people are dicks. No, but they're not an easy band to listen to sometimes because Piggy used to throw in a lot of dissonant like chords and things. I used to have a friend who would always go, "It's the Voivod chord."
Yeah. He was a weird dude. I mean, he in a good way. He had a strange vision.
Yeah, and Snake's vocals are kind of curious because, early on they were very rough. By the time we get to Nothing Face and Angel Rat, he was actually singing quite well, I thought.
But kind of punk, but also kind of punky.
Yeah, but then after Outer Limits, Snake left the band. They did a couple albums with another guy. I think his name's Eric. And then he came back again, and he didn't sing like that anymore. And I was like, what's up with that? I mean, it was cool. I was just happy to have Voivod back. But I was kind of curious as to why he doesn't sing like that anymore. And Target Earth, he's starting to sort of head back in that direction again. So I'm like, all right, we'll see.
Right on. And the new EP as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, what are we listening to?
Keep it simple. I've kind of mentioned the same stuff a lot, but I'm really listening to the shit out of all three of these records. Riding Christ Rituals, still loving that one. Probably the one I'm listening to the most. Destroyer 666, Wildfire. Totally into this record right now. And finally, but really not least, For All Kings.
Hell yeah.
Mixed in with all the usual shit I listen to.
Buke?
What do you listen to, Buke?
I have continued to listen to the Ex Mortis nonstop. But we got a couple promos in that I wanted to mention, and I passed on one at the record shop yesterday. Not ever seeing the album art and not realizing what it was till I got back home. I've been listening to Magic Circle in their album Journey Blind.
You didn't pick that up, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I passed on that too. When I first heard that album, I was like, ooh, and then I was excited about it, and then it came out, and I wasn't as excited about it anymore.
Well, what
really?
manner of thing is it?
I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. I need to go listen to it again because
it's a little bit of Trouble, Black Sabbath sound, a little Vitus, a little.
Okay.
Yeah, something about it, caught my ear the first time, so I need to figure out what that was.
But we have, and the other one I've been listening to, this is like a blend of atmospheric and folk. This is the band Soon.
Ah, yeah.
And the album, Volume 1, Temple of Torturous.
Yeah, there's a Volume 1 and 2 that is out
this is
as
Volume
well.
1.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, Soon, Volume 1.
Right on.
Yep, so that's what I'm listening to right now.
All right, well, this is normally the part of the podcast where the guys go take a break, get a sandwich, what have you. But I'm sorry to disappoint this week. I only have one.
What?
And it's actually one that was on last week's list that I forgot to mention.
Fuck. I feel like I don't even know you anymore,
The
man.
podcast will end. This is the last episode ever.
George finished the internet, as they say.
Yeah, well, I didn't come up with anything new this week. I listened.
You're stuck on For All Kings, baby.
Yeah, I was listening to that a lot, and I listened to some older stuff.
Like you do.
Yeah, I listened to some Old Man's Child, and what else did I listened to some more Pile of Priests, and a little bit of Royal Thunder.
Oh, you know what? Let me give those guys a shout out. I have been listening to Pile of Priests since we interviewed them too more because I did check them out beforehand. Great stuff.
Yeah,
go ahead, Joe.
And I listened to the last Shamash album again to get excited about their new album.
George, you snuck that in, and you're not going to fan.
What?
One of my most anticipated titles, George. That new Shamash. Can't wait.
What am I? What's the matter, Buke?
No, you snuck in the Royal Thunder. I wanted to make that.
Oh,
He
okay,
wanted
yeah.
to kind of celebrate that for a
I
minute.
just moved on real fast from that one.
Roll Thunder.
But so the one that I didn't mention last time that I want to mention this time is a band called Greenleaf and their album Rise Above the Meadow. I'm not sure how to classify this. It's kind of like a more spiffy stoner doom album.
It had to either be stoner doom or folk metal, which I know you don't really listen to.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
that
you've
sounds
heard this.
Elven. No, I haven't. I just assumed that you, going by the title, I was like, okay, this is either cornucolapi or fucking sleep.
It's, I don't know, it's kind of catchy, relatively clean vocals, but it's heavy, but it's reasonably well produced. It's not all fuzzy and crappy sounding, so I don't know. It's kind of cool. Check it out.
Greenleaf.
Yep.
Bandcamp, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's do our classic albums.
Classic album.
Yep.
I went with, what did I go with? I wrote it down here. Oh, I think I did a Death record a while back, but I've never mentioned this one, and it's really a great record. The Sound of Perseverance by Death.
Ah, yes, the last one.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's kind of a weird mishmash of a lot of stuff. It's a kind of a long record. It's got a really killer cover. And
I
it's
just bought the shirt for that album because it was kind of cool looking in the picture.
Cool.
And then I got it and I'm like, it just doesn't sit right at all. Just doesn't hang right. I'm like, the logo's like kind of big and weird. And
oh, gotcha.
so, but yeah.
All right, Death.
Excellent.
What you got a classic this week, Buke?
Yep, I think this is where Max jumped the shark on his last metal album. But this is Nail Bomb Point Blank.
Oh, yeah. That was a great album.
Yep, awesome album.
I haven't listened to that in a long time.
I don't think he's been metal really since this, like he was at this time period.
Yeah.
But,
Cool.
Yep, this is Max and Alex Newport, their project.
That guy never stops working, though, does he? Really? He's a dynamo.
Yeah. I swear I saw him at the show last night. There was a dude
Oh, that
standing
would've
next to me. I was like, oh, it looks like Max.
No way.
Yeah. It obviously wasn't, but, you know. Because we all know he lives in San Francisco.
That's right.
But so my classic this week is one that just celebrated its 20th birthday. Well, actually, it may not officially. This year, it will celebrate its 20th birthday. And this is the classic Down by Sentenced.
Nice. Which has been spun at this house recently. I was telling George that our Sergey, our bass player, has been somewhat just spontaneously burning Sentence records and giving them to me on CD. I don't know why he was doing it. I don't know if he does listen to the podcast sometimes, and you guys talk about him all the time, so...
Yeah, I asked Jay the other day, I was like, have you listened to them much? Because you really oughta.
And it's funny, too, how they were so far off my radar, in all honesty, you know. Kind of lived my life not knowing about Sentenced.
Yeah,
you guys
well,
were the ones
I mean,
who really put them on my radar.
I just stumbled across them one day in Tower Records in Michigan back in the late 90s. It was one of those, I'm in the store, I want to buy something, what can I buy? And there was just nothing. It's like I had it all, or they just didn't have any metal, and I was like, it's on Century Media, guess it's metal. Kind of a boring album cover, and what the hell, Sentenced, what kind of name is that? Sentenced.
Right.
You know, I was expecting something
it's
really
like
bad.
Catatonic Society or something.
No. But I was expecting some really bad death metal or something, and I was like, fuck it. I bought it, and it just blew my mind. And so, you know, I don't know how else you would find out about them, really.
Yeah, it'd be easy not to. It'd be easy not to.
Yeah, you prove that.
Vinyl purchases, boys? Starts with me. We haven't been a lot of time since we spoke last, so I've only got two to mention. Destroyer 666, as mentioned. Really obsessed with this record now. Got Wildfire. And after the Twisted Sister documentary, I was all freaked out on them, so I went and found a copy of Live at the Hammersmith Odeon.
Yep.
Double vinyl live, great set list. Has songs from Stay Hungry, but that are not the focus of the live show, really. So I think it might have been slightly pre-Stay Hungry. I'm not sure when the show was. But it was right when Twisted Sister was really kind of at their apex of kicking ass. So
Excellent.
yeah. What about you? I know you picked some stuff up.
Yeah, I actually can't wait. I was looking forward to when we got to this segment yesterday because I had a "damn it, Jay, I'm a little crying baby" moment at the record store yesterday. So we walk in the record store, and yesterday was your birthday. Again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jay.
As we're flipping through the vinyls, you call us back after we left you a voicemail. And my ADD already being bad what it is, I can't talk and really peruse at the same time. So I'm in the miscellaneous, and I'm more paying attention to talking to you, but I'm flipping through. And George comes over to me a couple minutes later after I had hung up talking to you. He's like, hey, look at this, Destroyer 666.
Look at this.
Where I just was flipping.
Unreleased Opeth record.
I would have grabbed it if I wasn't paying attention and talking to you. So I'm like, oh, I would have grabbed that.
But this is an older album, not the new one.
Yeah, not the new. Yeah. This is Unchained the Wolves.
Which is their first record, actually.
So George, being the nice friend that he is, because he bought so much by himself, he's like, here, do you want this? I'm like, yes.
Let it not be said that I do not have mercy.
At Soundgarden, to wrap that up yesterday with a good day with my friend, I got Ex Mortis Ride 4th. I got a nice copy of Isis Panopticon based on our discussion a couple weeks back.
Cool. There's a song in there called actually, go ahead, Big. I'm going to tell you there's a song you got to listen to, but go ahead. Do your thing.
Entombed AD, their new one, Dead Dawn. I got Anthrax for All Kings. I got a real nice package.
Of a record I hate.
Exactly. Like a deluxe edition. Look at this. Came with a little slip mat.
Yeah, it's beautiful, dude.
Yeah. Gorgeous little slip mat.
I'm pissed that
hey,
I'm the one that likes
it. It's the guy from the video, too.
Yeah. I'm pissed that I'm the one that likes it so much, and my special edition didn't come with one. Damn it.
It's a real nice, like, marble-colored vinyl record. Really nice. So that's what I got yesterday.
Duke, when you get a chance, you need to put that Panopticon record on and listen to the song Backlit. It's number 2.
Okay.
It's huge, dude. And it's going to sound kick-ass in your system.
I got it because of you guys talking about it a couple weeks back.
Yeah, cool.
Right on.
What'd you pick up, George?
Okay. Like we said, we went to Soundgarden yesterday, so I picked up a bunch of stuff there, but I also had some other stuff floating around. First up, I got Anthrax Persistence of Time as a sealed, like a double vinyl. After I got it, I actually was like, I might actually have an older version. It's not on my Discogs, but I think there may be one. I have to check that out. I also got The Angelic Process, Weighing Souls with Sand. That was one recommended to me on vinyl by Greg. Thank you, sir. I finally got a copy of Baroness's new album, Purple.
Oh, nice. Was that difficult to run into, George, or was it?
When it first came out, it was hard to find. It was sold out everywhere. Even Amazon didn't have it.
Right.
The one that surprised me, so it was probably my favorite purchase yesterday, because I didn't know it was out on vinyl. I'd searched for it before and didn't find it. This is Litany by Dead to a Dying World.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, that's a great album. Next up, I joined the ranks of the hipsters. Buke convinced me to pick up Def Heaven's New Bermuda. So I can no longer say I don't have Def Heaven on vinyl.
Yeah, you come down off your high horse, mister.
I'm so sorry, Neutrino. I'm so sorry. But it gets worse, because I also picked up Hymn's album, Love Metal.
I didn't realize you grabbed that.
I like that album. And I also got King Diamond, Abigail 2, The Revenge, finally.
Was that was there like some re-releases on that or something, or was it?
Yeah, it was like a Discogs thing.
Okay. Oh, well, all right.
Yeah. Then Buke noticed this one for me yesterday at the store. Got Pale Chalice, Negate the Infinite and Miraculous. I also got Publicist UK, Forgive Yourself. And probably my second favorite purchase of the day yesterday, Seven Sisters of Sleep, Ezekiel's Hags.
That's rolling with you still then. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like it too.
And my final new vinyl, Witchcraft Nucleus.
Oh, hey, how are you liking that? We never talked about that. I never heard what you thought of it.
It's definitely heavier than previously.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a combination of like heavy plus the last couple albums, and I'm digging that.
Yeah, it's sort of like the way Ghost has started to sound a little more modern in their heavy. Mm-hmm. It's got a little of that. And I just mean in this like selection of amplifier more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little flute on it too. It's got a little Jethro Tull vibe here and there.
Yeah, I totally heard that. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, well, let's do our deep tracks.
Mine is going along with my Twisted Sister theme. This is really actually a pretty deep record, but off of Under the Blade, there's a really great, plotty, kick-ass song in there called Destroyer.
I love that song.
Right? It's great.
Destroyer is in town.
There is two different, just in the sort of incidentally as they go through the documentary, they play two different versions of that, of them playing it live, and they're both fucking killer. And they don't play the whole song. It's just like them cutting from live shows, and I just was reminded how much I like that song.
Yeah, that is a very killer song.
Book.
Okay, I'm doing a double.
All right.
I'm going a fucking deep album, not liked by a lot, and a deep track off of that album. This is after Sabbath had really run its course with a lot of people. This is off of Tony Iommi's Black Sabbath. You know, Tony Iommi with Black Sabbath with Tony Iommi off of Seventh Star.
Whew.
This is In for the Kill, the opening track.
You know, I'm not even that familiar with it.
I'll be honest with you. Is it a Tony Martin record?
Wasn't that the one he did with Glenn Hughes?
Oh, yeah, it might be.
It is. Right here, in fact.
You know what? You had me at Glenn Hughes. Wow. Why is that framed, bro? Is it like signed or something?
My mother-in-law bought it for me.
Nice.
Wow.
It's signed and everything.
Sweet.
By just Tony? Or like everybody in the band?
In fact, it's not signed at all. It's just framed.
That's beautiful.
Damn
maybe
it.
Maybe a sign on the back.
Maybe. But yes, In for the Kill. I love this album. It's
awesome.
It's not popular at all. It's deep.
It's deep.
So deep. It's so deep. Both you guys don't fucking know about it.
Oh, Tony Iommi doesn't even listen to it.
Yeah. I have it. I bought the vinyl, but I don't really know it. I'm just a completist.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Black Sabbath. And I can assure you, when you see them, they will not be playing this, George.
No. Well, that album was supposed to be a Tony solo album, and the record label wouldn't let him do it.
They fought with him.
Yeah. All right, my deep track, going back to 1984 from the album Psalm 9. This is Trouble and the Tempter.
Right on, dude.
Some early Doom.
Very early, but a lot of the early Doom that was like really in vogue right when it started to come back, meaning like right when the first Electric Wizard records were coming out and stuff. People talked about, that was, Trouble was one of those bands that was just like a cool badge of honor for a long time there. People don't talk about it as much as they did a few years ago, but
no,
they have a couple really good. A couple of their early records are really good.
Yeah, and some of the guys from the old days are in a new band now called The Skull after their album of the same name, because Trouble's still around in a different incarnation, sort of like Sepultura, but if you want the real deal, pick up The Skull.
If you want real trouble.
Yeah.
Go to The Skull.
Exactly. All right.
Sweet.
Well, that's just about it for this week. We're going to, in a moment here, get into the rest of the interview with Hoth and play you another song. But before we do, please make sure to check us out on SoundCloud. If you haven't updated your feeds and your players, you're probably not hearing this. So you need to update all those if you want to continue getting the podcasts, because the RSS feed URL has changed.
Can I ask something of our listeners? Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a friend, please. We have some of the greatest listeners who reach out to us and share a lot of stuff, but tell a friend, please. Let's get some more Metalheads into this.
There you go.
And then after that, you can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on Twitter. As Buke already mentioned earlier, I am Disciple OV Metal.
I'm Opeth Fan, and Jay's Catatonic J.
Jay can't speak for himself.
Oh.
I like that. It makes me feel like I have a representative.
I'm just fucking with you.
Speak with my lawyer.
You can also check us out on Instagram, on YouTube, Stitcher, and as always at wearemetalheads.com. So here you go. Here is the last bit of the podcast with Hoth. We'll see you next time.
Sweet.
All right, here we are at the end of the episode, and as promised, we're going to have another song for you from Hoth and their album Oathbreaker. This song is called Acolyte of the Tenebrous Night. Tell us anything about this song.
So this is the song. We've got a cello intro. I think that some people, they listen to it and they think that it's not real cello. But we actually did find something with the cello, and
it's real cello.
It's real cello, but we mixed it, so we've got a couple layers there of the cello to sort of give it a more of a foreboding feeling. And this was the first.
Like a cello needs any help, I like that. Wah, wah. How could we make this sadder and somehow more funereal?
Equalization.
Well played, sir.
Yeah. This one was fun. Like, this was sort of when we started putting our heads together for the new album. This is sort of the first of our ideas that sort of once we had this song down, I think it sort of shaped our direction. We were like, hey, this fits right in the middle of where we want to go from our first track to our last track.
Cool.
So this was sort of our anchoring point, if you will, when we started writing the album. We came up with some of the riffs for this, and I think the main riff you hear at the beginning, that's like the first thing that was ever recorded. Yeah, and so that's like the first thing that we ever recorded, and we're like, hey, that's really cool. So that's sort of like, that first riff you hear is the first thing that was ever recorded on this album, and I think it really served as the anchor of where we wanted to go. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, like Eric said, it's a thematic cornerstone of the album, and personally, I think it's the best flowing song, the most cohesive.
Cool.
And it's also kind of the peak of the album too, where in the hero's story where he is the most evil and the worst things are happening, and yeah.
This song is a perfect example why I despise people who just listen to tracks and not albums. Because if you listen to any of the tracks before this, you miss out on how it flows right into this with that awesome cello opening and stuff, and it's bombastic. How about that word?
Because that's exactly how we wanted you to listen to it. Like that's perfect. I'm glad you feel that way, because that's really, we wanted the album to be a piece as a whole. We didn't want people to chop it up.
Yeah, I think the type of people that just listen to tracks, it's like if you ordered a pizza and you're like, here's a slice of pizza, and then someone's like, I just want to eat the cheese. I'm gonna eat the cheese off of that. That's really weird, man. Just like
it sounds like a Seattle thing, though.
It's a Seattle thing. Can I just get cheese?
No, they actually deliver pizzas like that in Seattle. Yeah.
But yes, gentlemen, this track, it's just the album's building and building and building, and then boom, and oh man, I think maybe us as metalheads, I think that we are still that rare breed that does still listen to full albums. So,
a lot of us. I think there's a lot that don't. Yeah, a lot don't. Unfortunately, we're getting into some troubling territory now, but. Well, that's a story for another day. Yeah. Then Hot Topic stays open somehow.
Yep.
Before we play you the song, we want to thank you guys for coming on today and ask, how people can hear your music, get a hold of you, whatnot before.
Well, you can find us on Bandcamp, hothmusic.bandcamp.com. We have a website, hothmetal.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can shoot us a message. We usually respond if you're nice.
We respond to every dumb message.
Yeah, actually, we respond to every single message. Dumb or smart, it doesn't matter. You can message us.
They responded to me. They're nice guys.
Yeah, and everybody knows you're dumb. So, I mean, that's a beautiful...
If you want to order the album, we've got it available digital, and we also have physical copies of CDs, and if you order one of those, then it's going to mean that I'm going to have to drive to the post office and stand in line and mail it out to you, so put me to work.
I'm buying some shirts, baby.
And we have new shirts.
We do have new shirts. David is repping one of the new shirts.
Awesome.
It's got the Lich King on it. This thing, we have a local artist named Dusty Peterson. He has a website, theartofdustypeterson.com. He's actually going to be at Emerald City Comic Con in April, and the guy's a gentleman and a scholar and
an artist.
And an artist, yeah. Mostly, he's a very talented artist.
Cool.
How's the 2X sell out that fast?
Are you one of those guys that need?
I don't. In my defense, I can get away with an XL, but they shrink.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
So these new shirts are actually a little bigger than the other ones.
I'm wearing a medium, and I look like the kid that wore a T-shirt to the pool. Like it's kind of.
Hey, I was that kid sometimes.
Did you get the nipple shave?
Yeah, I would say it's to. Inside, I knew it was to hide my man boobs, but I would tell people I burn easily.
I have delicate skin, yes.
Well, we'll when we finish this run, we'll do some more of the 2X and the XLs.
I just bought one, gentlemen, so if that can't say enough how much I love you guys. Again,
obviously, well, we need to get you to the post office, so let's wrap this up, dude.
Oh, seriously, I've been to the post office like every week for the past year and a half. I know the lady on the first name basis at the post office. Like
that's that fucking Hoth guy.
But yeah, thanks for having us on here.
And I also want to appreciate that you guys aren't totally wasted and mumbling all your questions.
You guys have
get that
had
a lot?
where guys come on and they're interviewing you. It's just a shit show.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't want to name any names, but
No interviews.
Just believe it. George here would never. George is such
The
a shit.
Hungarians. Ooh, did I?
Hungarians.
Which is not to say we haven't consumed a lot of beer while recording a podcast, but not on interviews.
But keep it together, keep it together, keep it together.
Well, it's because we have a beer guy who actually comes in with metal beers, and so we got to taste them. What are you going to do?
Well, that's awesome. We're huge beer fans, so we approve of that. But you're not like slurring your words or like falling asleep, so I appreciate that a lot.
We don't need to be drunk to do that. This comes out naturally.
You know what I like about those guys in Hoth? It's metal. Yeah. No, dude, you guys are a blast, man. It was really fun to talk to you guys.
Gentlemen, I know this was a couple months in the making, so thanks for sitting down to join us.
Absolutely, it was great talking to you guys, and looking forward to hearing the podcast as a whole.
Yep, we'll send you links when it's up.
And
Great.
All right, here it is, Acolyte of the Tenebrous Night.